Good evening, everybody. We are live. Welcome to the Company of Gamers. Oh shit! It's not the Company of Gamers. Oh, I'm on autopilot. It's the Hangout. I'm getting confused here. Welcome to the Hangout. It's the alternative show that we have to the Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast. Whenever time is shorter and we just want to kind of do a bit more of an informal kind of hangout, hence the name, the Hangout. And we just have a bit of a chill stream where we discuss or where we just discuss whatever we want to discuss, really. We have a few exciting things to talk about this evening, and we have an absolute legit panel. As always, we've got the Worldwide Company of Gamers panel members, including the absolute legendary Leviathan Gamer. I'm so stoked that he's hit back with us. It's been a while. We've missed you greatly. We know you've been going through pretty tough times recently, brother, but it's great that you're here. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty great for the most part. It's definitely been a very rough past couple months, but
yeah, mate, you've got some insane mental fortitude, man, and honestly, like, from just I won't pry or go into any details or anything like that, but from what we know and what you've told me, you have so much respect for me and your family, and just, yeah, it says everything about the character that you are, and really glad that you're in better places right now and in good spirits. So that's freaking phenomenal. Shout out to all of you guys in the chat already. You're all legit. I'm going to give you all a quick heads up. Any minute my doorbell's going to ring. I sincerely apologize about the poor timing, a lack of prep on my part. I have dinner arriving shortly, but don't worry, it won't take me more than 2 minutes to just grab the food and be back. So I will go AFK at some point. But I'll have my food after the podcast, obviously. But I'll just go AFK for a few minutes just to grab it once the bell rings. So please, just a heads up to you guys about that, and I apologise in advance. But shout out to all of you guys in the chat: Toolman, OT, JGamer UK, Twisted Sin, Shaky Shako, my brother. It's so great to see regulars here. All of you guys, like Brian King as well. Xbox Rules, great to see you here, brother. Feel for you, buddy. It's going to be a tough one, this episode, for you, mate. Lothric Ahmed, Fimoa, hope I'm spelling or pronouncing your names right. Jonathan Martinez, aka Johnny on Discord. David 2 Cents. It's just so many of you. New names and regulars. Med Ryan. It's just awesome that you're here. So thank you for being here, guys. Looking forward to getting on with the show. So I'm really glad you're doing well, Leviathan, man. Looking forward to having a bit of a breakdown from you regarding some juicy info about Halo Infinite. You've been doing some detective work and some investigating. You are a man who doesn't sleep, who doesn't rest. You're always researching stuff. We also have on our panel the awesome Akira. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, no, I'm doing awesome. So yeah, just got the Sifu platinum. I carry that badge of honor. 0.3% of people play Sifu, but no, Sifu is a really amazing game. It's a really amazing game. I'm very happy if Slow Clap becomes successful in this one. And again, it adds to my happiness that the co-founder of Slow Clap, creative director of Sifu, basically followed me after I achieved platinum. So, man, I'm just doing awesome and just waiting for Horizon. Awesome. I'm still playing Sifu. I'm almost 40 hours in that game.
Yeah.
I just really love it. I'm just so in love with that game, man.
Not long.
But yeah, everything's great, and we're gonna play Horizon, and it just got confirmed that we're gonna fly. So. I'm so excited to fly, man.
Big facts.
Excited to fly.
Me too. We're going to be touching on all of that very shortly. But I'm playing a bit of Sifu gameplay right here. This was before I got good. Currently, I'm on mission 4, but I'm gonna complete mission 3. I'm 21 when I start mission 3, so it's a good age, I think, to. Or am I 24? I'm either 21 or 24. So I'm aiming to beat the game under 25. I do want the platinum. I'm not a platinum chaser by any means, but something about this game just has me absolutely addicted. We'll definitely be talking about Sifu. It is quite a phenomenon, in my opinion, at the moment. I love that game. Great that you're here, Akira. My brother Wilhelm, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing absolutely great, and still there's this news that still excites the absolute hell out of me, and I've waited till OT is there because basically the news is related to the person that's basically my part of my persona now, a person that a lot of people affiliate me with, and it's that Charlie Sheen will be finally back, guys. He will be finally back. When I hear that news, I literally like serotonin was pumping through my brains. You couldn't believe it. Like, if you guys knew, I mean, you probably had to know. Like, guy was blacklisted from Hollywood for a while, and basically now years later, Doug Allen, who's the creator of the show Entourage, if you've heard of it, it was back then a very popular show that was met with both critical and it was met well with a good critical reception, had a lot of production value, and was quite popular at the time. He announced that he'll be working on a new show starring Charlie Sheen and some of the people from Entourage, and I'm so hyped for this. Like, I'm so hyped for this. That this dude Charlie Sheen, like that I love that man is like no secret. Like he changed. Like he changed my life. Like what I admire so much about him is basically that he's an down to earth, no bullshit, honest guy in a field that basically compiled with puppets made by the labels produced in masses to appeal to the mass, where you don't talk to a person, you rather talk to that person's facade. And Charlie Sheen is different. Like when you talk to that guy, like he doesn't try to pretend to be somebody else or pretend to be somebody better. Like he literally is like saying in interviews like, yeah, I'm doing drugs, I smoked the 7-gram rocks, like what are you gonna do? Like that's so admirable. Like till this day, that 2011 interview, like I think that he did with CBS or ABC, know that I think it was like the start of like the winning phase. That interview changed my life. Like that interview showed me that basically taught me to pursue life with confidence and with honesty. That it's better to be hated for the person that you are than to be loved for something that you aren't. Like that is the message I personally grasped from
that's a quote from what's the name of the song? I Am Not a Robot by something in the Machines. I can't remember the name of the band, but she goes, the song I Am Not a Robot, and she says, better to be hated than loved for what you're not. It's a good quote.
Yeah. Kurt Cobain also said that quote. I don't know if it originally came from him, but I remember also him saying that quote as well.
Absolute facts, man.
Yeah, and Sheen's story is like also so inspiring to me. Like that guy has had some high highs and some low lows, but the fact that he was able to, even though he had hit rock bottom so many times, that he was still able to get up, brush himself off, and thrive through life. Like he's able to still fly after hitting so hard on the ground is such an uplifting tale. You see that guy sincerely smiling, being happy, just enjoying life to the fullest. And that's also a story that just shows me that even through the darkest and coldest tunnels, there'll be bright and warm sunshine waiting for you at the end.
Wilhelm, you have a brain far too mature for your age. It's ridiculous. But honestly, man, you're a man of culture, a man of great taste, and a man with a big heart, and we adore you, mate. Great that you're here, brother. And I'm glad to hear that your hero is making a return. Good for him. Shout out to my brother Oti. What's good?
Hey, things have been very busy for me. I think 3 weeks ago, I was brought into a project to do the interior visuals for Google's new offices here in Kenya.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's a big project, and yeah, it's been taking my time like crazy. But it's also um, sort of nice to be in something this big. So far, everything's been going well, but unfortunately, it means playing games has been, other than Gran Turismo Sport and a bit of seafood this week, it's been so difficult, man. Because and then the weekends come, then that's also family time. So it's been. I was just thinking the other day, I miss school because school I'd have 30 days just to play everything. But it's
Facts.
like now as an adult, I literally play Sifu during my lunchtime period or my tea time. So things have changed, but I'm hoping to get, because I need to clear horizon. I've got to find a way. But so far everything's been very good.
The struggle is real, bro. I can understand how you feel. I'm so hyped for that game, man. It's ridiculous. But no, I'm stoked that you're here, brother. Thank you as always, Mr. David Faulkner. How are you doing? Okay, well,
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's great to hear your
You,
beautiful accent.
you, you keep forgetting I'm on the other side of the planet to you, mate. You got to give it a couple of seconds.
That's so true. Oh shit! I forget about Aussie. The Aussie internet bandwidth is something terrible.
That's right. I'm on an early in the morning down here now, so I'm on before all the kids get on for Sunday morning gaming.
Yeah, on the other side of the planet. So how are you doing? What have you been playing?
Doing well. Been working through Lego Avengers with my young fella.
Nice.
We just about finished that last night, actually. We're playing that one on the PlayStation, and also been working through my backlog of Yakuza games. So I'm about halfway through Yakuza 3, and been sitting back just enjoying watching other people absolutely kill it with Sifu. It's really, really good looking game.
Oh mate, it's phenomenal. I'm doing trash here, but I get good. Don't worry. I do much better. I've managed to beat level 2 at the age of 21, and I think I beat level 3 at the age of 24. But I'm a.
That's the guy.
Yeah, but
it's awesome.
Yes, brother. It's awesome. I love this game so much. It's just the purest experience I've had since Returnal, easily, hands down. And I'd argue it's even more, like, it's impressed me even more than Returnal has in different ways.
Yeah.
You were going to say something.
I can't wait to get my hands on it. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say a big shout out to those who have platinumed it before they do the update. Mm-hmm. Especially you, Akira. I think you're one of the first ones that I've seen to get it. There's some hardcore, guys that do zero damage speed runs through Soulsborne games, and they haven't even come close to getting the platinum on this thing yet. So
this is going to be such a great game to
fighting
watch.
gods that have done it.
Yeah, I can imagine Sifu's going to be an amazing game to watch on Twitch. People try to beat with not being hit and stuff like that, and watch world record speed runs.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been it's a great game. The clips, especially the ones that Kira shared and a couple of others have shared, they're so simple that it's no bells and whistles and frills and all the other bullshit that goes with it. It's totally opposite to Yakuza. Actually, it's just very direct, very simple. You hear every hit, you see every hit being thrown. The camera works pretty good. So, big props to small studio and pulling something that great out of the hat. That's awesome to see. So, otherwise everything else is going pretty well. I've got had some really positive news in the personal life, which I'll hopefully share with you guys in the coming week. So, yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for you, bro. That's awesome. Okay.
Thanks, mate.
That's awesome. Speaking of awesome, my good friend, and was an usher at my wedding too. Game developer and just all round awesome dude. Deezy, how are you doing?
Oh man, you didn't need to give me that kind of an intro.
Oh, dude, I love you all. You're all just, I'm just proud as fuck to know you guys.
And I appreciate you. Hey everyone, what's up to the panel? It seems like we've got a full house tonight.
I'll be right back, guys. You carry on.
For a hangout, this is pretty good. We're normally like maybe one or two or maybe three people tops. So like this is awesome. In terms of what I have been doing in recent, I have been interviewing like crazy for a tons of positions.
Just a big apology to everybody. I'll literally be AFK for 90 seconds, no longer. I'll see you in a sec. I'm really sorry about this.
No, you guys are fine. So yeah.
So who you been interviewing for, Daisy?
So I've interviewed for Fire Sprite, and as I shared with everybody in the panel privately, the third phase of that interview came and went, and they chose somebody else because I have not the particular game that the required prerequisite for that game was that I sound great and whatnot, but I needed to at least work on a AAA game prior to as a junior before getting this role. So since I did not work on a AAA title and I'm actively working on an indie scale size title, that just kind of shot me back. But I'm in phases right now with a few other companies. I'm interviewing for XDev right now. First interview is coming up in a few days. Next week, I'm also interviewing for Codemasters. I already had an interview with them, so I'm kind of waiting to see if this moves to the second phase. And I'm working for a studio that's not working for. I'm interviewing for a studio that's due to announce a PlayStation exclusive really, really soon. And I didn't know that that's what they were. I didn't know that the studio was working on that, but I'll talk more about that once I make it to the second. So there's plenty of stuff that's coming down the pipeline. And as you guys could all imagine, they're all within the AAA space. So
that's excellent, mate. That's really good to hear.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
Congratulations, Daisy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also playing Sifu, man?
So I'm jealous right now. I have not bought Sifu yet. As a matter of fact, I haven't really had I haven't had the chance. And I'm currently right now. The husband is saying I can't buy any more video games until I finish the ones I have.
And grounds for divorce, mate.
I'm sorry, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm back. How are you? You okay? What did I miss?
Daisy's getting divorced.
Daisy's getting a divorce.
Legit? Serious?
No, kid. No.
No, it's just a joke.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
No, that wouldn't be something I would announce on this anyway. But no, they were joking. Because Akira asked me, "Have I been playing Sifu?" And I jealously said I haven't because my partner put a lock on the PlayStation ordering thing. Basically a lock on preventing me from ordering anything until I've beaten the games that I have.
Oh shit!
In my current library for PlayStation 5. So that's like Marvel's. Yeah,
I would be getting a divorce, bro.
Yeah, he's literally said that, and that because the card is actually linked to his, because he wanted to treat me to some stuff, so he actually went in and did that. So, he said when I beat the next 3 games that are in my library, then I could buy a few more. So.
Bloody hell, that's painful and hilarious.
That means you have to finish your backlog.
Yeah. Sorry? I think there's connection issues there. Well, guys, sorry about that for being away. Unfortunately, I had my food delivered and I had to run all the way down, get the lift down, and run to the entrance to get the food. It was just bad timing, so I do apologise for that. Thank you so much for your patience. Anyway, let's carry on. But apart from that, chastity belt around your PlayStation. That's what Antoingo calls it. I love it. It's awesome that you're here, bro, and I hope you get playing and get completing ASAP.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I really do want to get into Sifu. You know, everybody's comparing it to Returnal, and you guys know how I feel about Returnal. Yeah.
T-Rock, honestly, shout out to T-Rock in the chat. What's good, bro? Returnal's phenomenal. I'm only comparing it to Returnal in the sense that it's pure, it's raw, like Returnal is. It's in no way, shape, or form like Returnal. However, it's definitely a really pure kind of raw, the rawest form of gaming in that sense. It's just pure gameplay like Returnal is, you know? And that's kind of the only comparison I can draw to it. There are roguelike elements as well. Roguelite elements, rather. You get permanent upgrades and stuff, and that's awesome. And there's a really cool way of progression in this game, and I think not enough reviews kind of appreciated that or brought accurate kind of representation to that element of Sifu. Just want to give a bit of advice to you guys that are struggling. I'm seeing a few in the chat who want to kind of give up on it, and I fully understand it's frustrating. See, I'm doing pretty terrible here, but once I learnt to use L1 more, and I invested in things that reinforce the use of L1. So if you dodge attacks, you gain stature back, or if you dodge attacks, you gain focus back. And I invested in focus and stature and learnt to use L1 a lot more. It became a whole lot easier. For real, guys, L1 is your friend. Don't just rely on dodge R2. It doesn't work as well. And L1 is... See that then? Like I just ducked under his kick. L1 is needed, guys. You need to use it. Don't shy away from it. Otherwise, you won't be beating this game. Definitely not. No way.
So this is the tip I would give, right, for Sifu. Do not always try to parry, because even parrying perfectly breaks structure by the tiniest bit. So every time you do a good parry, you're still gonna, lose structure. So if you can, you would need to practice dodging more. And if you cannot dodge, then you need to block as well, but always watch your structure. And try to learn how to get away from enemies, do some spacing, keep distance, use your environmental mastery, like I said. Always use a leg sweep. They're very useful.
Yeah, facts.
The only time when you're gonna need parrying, in my opinion, is going to be the final boss, because the final boss, his structure breaks faster than his health. So it would be better to prioritize breaking structure than trying to put his health into 0. I think that's the only time where parry is going to be very valuable, which I did. But for most of the game, dodging is your friend. Like really, no, dodging and blocking is your friend. Dodging and blocking. Yeah, that's what I would.
That's awesome
What do you call this? That's what I would advise people. And again, the thing that gets you killed in C4 a lot is if you're surrounded, or like even 2 enemies is enough to surround you. So always try to keep spacing. The character is very fast. He can vault around objects, around couches, around tables, around a lot of things. So you need to vault away. Learn when to run away, basically. So yeah, that's all I would say.
Awesome advice. Speaking from the Grandmaster here, he's platinum this game, so definitely worth taking note of Akira's advice. Be sure to hit Akira up on Twitter if you're struggling and you want some advice, maybe some coaching. I'm sure Akira would happily make time for that. He always likes to give advice on games that he's particularly knowledgeable in. So don't be shy. No, that's awesome. So let's get to the main topics, guys. There's a few. Barely, not every main topic is listed in the title due to limitations in characters, but let's get the main juicy one out the way first. Well, it's not really a main one. It's more just something exciting. Horizon Forbidden West has had flying all but confirmed outright. It's happening, guys. Horizon Forbidden West will allow you to fly, and it kind of got me thinking. Well, first of all, let's take a look at the trailer that hints it strongly, and then we'll talk about maybe the articles that have leaked. But also, I want to touch on your guys' thoughts about how the devs have progressed in being able to implement flight into Horizon Forbidden West when it's a cross-gen game. I thought they couldn't do it with Horizon Zero Dawn because flying is wasn't really something they could utilize the PS4 hardware enough to kind of do it well, so to speak. At least that's what they thought. So there's clearly been some progress here, hasn't there? But what's your guys' thoughts about this?
So it all comes back to memory allocation and the speed of how they can load assets from memory or from RAM for traveling, when they're rendering stuff. Because if you're flying, you're obviously covering far more ground distance in traversal, and you need to have a pipeline that's built at streaming in things more streamlinedly, streaming in things or loading and rendering things faster. So I remember them saying at the start of Horizon Forbidden West thing that explorable place underwater would be explorable. And they said one of the key things that they had issues with, which prevented them from pursuing something like that, underwater exploration, was the fact that for the development of the first Horizon, they ran out of memory, or their memory optimization just wasn't up to snuff for that kind of just wasn't up to snuff for that kind of thing. And based on this was also their very first open world game. So one of the hurdles that they had to be able to get things more streamed in quickly was dual rendering some of the environments inversely underneath the underneath where the eye could see, so underneath ground level, basically. And that was kind of one of the things that they were able to get more work done in spending time on how to properly, budget for those kind of memory limitations and things like that on PlayStation 4. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you're seeing now is just an evolution of the Decima engine, now able to support smarter rendering technology, smarter optimization and memory management, then of course, these things can carry themselves forward greater into more detail because, that sort of technology is more abundant on new gen hardware. So the PlayStation 5 could push those things that much faster because of the state of the art SSD and everything else that's baked into the hardware. So, yep.
That's awesome. I mean, look at this trailer. You can see the hint where I think we've all seen it now. Where there's two scenes here where she jumps to the bird like she's going to jump on it, but then the whole scene changes. It's a completely different clip transition where she's suddenly doing a backflip. But she was clearly jumping toward the bird to catch it. And then this scene where she looks back at this tame sunwing. It's clearly tame. It's not harming her. She looks at it. She knows exactly what she's going to do. She's going to ride that bad boy. Pardon the slight innuendo. And jump off. And I think it's clearly it's the writing's on the wall here. But then there's further proof with articles. We'll get into that in a sec. Somebody else was going to speak.
Yeah, I was going to speak.
Awesome.
So, since I've been no-lifing LinkedIn pages, I actually looked at one of the Horizon, it's one of Guerrilla Games' Decima Engine, lead designers. One of his LinkedIn pages basically explained that his role from 2019 to 2021 was engine optimization, in terms of shader, draw distance, and memory optimizations. It said that in his LinkedIn page. So it's funny you brought that up, that specifically that's exactly what's happened. That's why Horizon Forbidden West looks better than Horizon Zero Dawn. That's where the optimizations were made.
Wow. So they literally hired a role who spent two and a half years focusing solely on making things happen on a PS4 that couldn't happen with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, he was one of the Decima engineers going all the way back to 2014 or something.
That's insane.
But his role in the past 2 years was specifically focusing on that, because one of the things about Horizon Zero Dawn is I don't know if you've seen glitched out gameplay where people glitch out and fly around, but because of how limited the engine is, at least for Horizon Zero Dawn, the draw distance would basically cause the entire ground to be completely whited out because it wouldn't draw it. So flying, you wouldn't be able to see anything. You could fly, but it'd be an empty screen pretty much.
Wow.
So, but that's just an optimization. That's probably where Horizon Zero Dawn was not able to do flying, is just based off of memory allocation. They reached the limit there, which now that they've improved on, you can tell Forbidden West has a much greater draw distance to Zero Dawn.
That's so awesome to hear. Oh man, Lev, it's just so awesome to hear your voice again, bro. We've really missed you, man. I think I could speak for everyone there, the entire chat and the panel. It's great that you're here, bro, and that's really amazing insight and kind of just reinforces what DZ was saying about the engine optimizations. It just shows. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn was made towards the later years of PlayStation 4's lifespan. And even now, technology has improved so much in how engines can be curated to do things that we've still not seen all that the PS4 has to offer. Because by comparison, Horizon Forbidden West is making Horizon Zero Dawn look archaic. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You know, one of the things that excites me is when you look at if you go back and see the documentaries on the concepts of Zero Dawn, the things we're getting excited about today were first experimented on literally 10 years ago. So that's the beauty of game development. It's like, what's shocking is even games like Last of Us, we are amazed by the combat and everything, but those concepts were figured out a long time ago. If you were to see, there'd be maybe 5-year-old concepts. So what excites me now is that we are now seeing the true potential of the PS4 with games like The Last of Us 2 and also with Forbidden West. What is exciting me is if that's what the PS4 can do at peak, it's like this is it completely flawed, and it's giving us something so great. I wonder what are the limits of PS5 Series X, like what developers could possibly do. I think the future is so bright, for gaming.
Yeah, 100%. I'm seeing there's a lot of shit going down in the chat. This Xbox rules guy is causing a lot of commotion. Shout out to him. People are
head over to the chat,
having a right back and forth here. What's being said, boys? Shout out to Gaming Despair. What's good, brother? You're a panel member, my dude, so you can always jump on Gaming Despair if you ever want to jump in. You're always welcome.
I'm not looking at YouTube right now. What's being said?
Yeah.
What's being said?
Too much. I need to catch up myself, so we'll definitely catch up. But I think Xbox Rules doesn't believe Activision is going to be multi-plat. He thinks it's going to be exclusive.
Okay.
And he's denying that it's going to be on PlayStation. I mean, I get it. I understand that.
I get it as well.
That it's kind of really, really wanted. But I mean, you got to appreciate that wasn't like just a few months ago exclusives anti-consumer.
To be honest, I still don't believe it. To be honest, I still don't believe it, really.
It baffles my head, though. That it baffles my head, though, that 1 minute exclusives are anti-consumer to the Xbox community. They call them anti-consumer in an attempt to kind of, dog walk Sony and Nintendo's business model of providing their consumers exclusive games that really kind of incentivize them and reward them for choosing PlayStation or Nintendo, vice versa, respectively. And yet, the moment this announcement came out, they wanted all that shit to be exclusive, and the duality, man, it baffles me. Are exclusives important or not? Because all you're telling me right now is that exclusives are important, and if exclusives are important, then you need to give credit where credit is due. At the exclusives coming out this year, for PlayStation, it's incredible, the shit that we're getting. Eating insane, guys. Sorry, Akira.
I was just having a quick. Sorry, I was just having a quick look through the chat. He's pretty much running through the script. It's not RDNA 2. Xbox has got the best FPS.
Get out of here with that.
Exclusives don't matter. Exclusives don't matter.
He
hasn't missed one yet. He's hit every single, and he's nearly done it in order too. So.
Oh, shout out to you, man.
Fair enough. If people want to have their opinions on all that stuff that has just gone round and round and round and round and round for nearly 2 years now. Look, if you're going to get hung up on that crap, well, then clearly you're not caring about the future. All you're worried about is who cares. If you're saying that the PS5 isn't RDNA 2, well, who gives a shit? The PS5 is absolutely smashing it for something that's supposedly underpowered. They don't have any first-person shooters. Oh, well, there's plenty of first-person shooters available on PlayStation 5. I haven't seen Xbox come out with a decent one.
Yeah.
That's out of their own studios for a while. And, Halo Infinite's first thing they throw up. And I go, well, if it's that freaking good, how can you say something's 100 out of 100?
We're going to be going into that
and say, well, no one's playing it because it's full of all these bugs.
Exactly.
So, well, crack into it because I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Let's go.
I definitely would love to Leviathan to take the wheel on this one. He dropped Leviathan Gamer dropped us a bit of a juicy news bomb, guys. And we can go back into Horizon Forbidden West after if you guys want to talk more about it if you're not done. if there's things that you guys want to say on the panel, let me know. You by all means just chip in about Horizon at any point. We're 6 days away. There's an article confirming that we can fly. We got the article here. A review showed that Aloy can fly, but enemies can't. It's all really exciting stuff, guys, and it's all kind of reinforcing what DZ and Leviathan were touching on, that, Sony's first-party studios are refining their engines so much that they're able to do things on last-gen hardware that was considered next-gen. And that's kind of, we needed the next-generation consoles in order to fly. Well, no, we just needed really superior next-gen optimizations and stuff like that. So it's exciting. But yeah, we'll talk back on Horizon in a bit. But let's go to this juicy topic about Halo Infinite. Now, it's quite a big deal, what Lev has brought to our attention. He's been basically searching the ether that is Reddit. Is it Reddit, Akira?
Oh, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, sorry. Not Reddit.
Yeah.
Reddit's far worse. LinkedIn's like for professionals, right? And what you found basically, it gives you an entire time frame, an entire template of Halo Infinite's development span, correct? And stages. And what is it that you found?
Yeah, so when I was looking through it, so Halo Infinite, I could only find references to the game engine starting from August 2017. None of their engineers on the team even referenced working on Halo Infinite's game engine until August 2017, which was supposed to be roughly 3 years before the game launched. The engine didn't start until then. And just looking at it, even around August 2018, most of the lead engine designers weren't even at the studio yet. Like a year after, when they showed off the first trailer, the engine developers weren't there at the studio yet when they showed that first trailer for Halo Infinite off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So this is what you sent me. Halo Infinite's development history from LinkedIn and reports. 2014, Halo 6 enters development. 2015, Halo 6 nails its design and the prototype is made. 2016, Halo 6 is canned and rebooted as Halo Infinite. Oh dear. Alright, 2017, Halo Infinite has a prototype and they decide to make a new engine. Only in 2017?
Yep. That's when they started hiring a bunch of their developers. Started then. But the majority of their hires were 2018 and 2019.
So, okay. So 2018, Halo Infinite is revealed. Engine is being built. Any game assets made in Halo 5's... engine is being built and... game assets made in Halo 5's engine are what? Transferred?
Well, yeah. At that point in time, Infinite's engine isn't in a good enough state to build assets. So any development at that point is being done in Halo 5's engine, which the final product has loads of Halo 5 code base still left around and assets from Halo 5.
Wow.
So it was being made on a different engine at that point in time.
That was in 2018.
2018, guys.
Did you say that's in 2018? Huh.
Yeah.
And get this. It gets crazier. Go on. You were gonna say it, Lev. 2019.
Yeah. So 2019, a leaked screenshot came out of Halo Infinite that showed the grapple hook, and the developers played it off saying, "Look, it's Halo 5's game engine." Well, that's because at that point in time, Halo Infinite wasn't in the game engine yet. It was still in Halo 5's. So, they tamped down everybody's thoughts that Halo Infinite was going to have a grapple hook by saying, well, it's Halo 5. It's just cut content from Halo 5. That's what the grapple hook is.
This is the picture.
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, you could scroll down.
I'm just get this up so people can see it better.
Yeah, so that's what the picture leaked, and it's from Halo 5's game engine, but it's the Halo Infinite grapple hook.
Oh shit! There's a grapple hook there,
and this is from 2019. So that at that point in time, they were still using Halo 5's engine for the game.
Me, I'm lost for words. Right, let's continue. So 20. Get back to this list.
Yeah, so around like May 2019, the engine reached the point that they could build assets in it. That's what I found.
Yeah, 2018 Halo Infinite is revealed. Engine is being built, but still on Halo 5's engine. 2019 engine meets minimum requirements to build assets in, and that's where they start basically transitioning Infinite over.
Yeah, so like the Jason
18 months out from launch.
Yes.
Holy shit! What is going on?
So, so looking at like the Jason Schreier article, he states that in summer 2019 is when they pivoted and decreased scope, and May 2019 is when the engine reached level. So like 2 months later, they were building in the engine and realized that they weren't going to get the game done in time for the 2020 launch. They started cutting content left and right.
This is insane.
Like it lines up.
It does. But you've done all the research. You've got all the LinkedIn's, mate. I don't. Do you sleep? Do you even sleep? You're superhuman.
Well, I couldn't find any Doom matches last night, so I was so disappointed. So I just was like, well, this was on my to-do list. Mate, let's just go.
I'll play Doom. I'll play Doom with you, bro. 100%. Right. Okay. So 2019, finally, they start basically transitioning Infinite to the new Slip Space engine. The trouble is that requires that they pivot and decrease the scope of the game in order to do this to meet, I'm guessing, deadlines.
They have to meet the Xbox Series X launch date, and they're not getting a delay at that point in time in development.
Right. Okay, so 2020, I mean, they must have been stressed AF. Like, completely stressed doing this. 2020, engine's graphics pipeline is built. Bulk of the game is hastily made, targeting release. Once in beta, the game gets delayed. And go on.
So a lot of what really shows that Halo Infinite's biggest issues are tied to cutting corners. So like they were so heavily pushing for that November 2020 release that they were cutting corners in terms of like coding, which still in 2021 there's still issues. Like, for example, they talked about how they couldn't add enough playlists to the multiplayer because the UI system can only support 4 playlists in a live service franchise that usually drops with 10, because they basically just patched something together to make the deadline, so they had to rework it. So like that's also the issue of such a late delay, is they were cutting corners and then they had to uncut the corners because they put so much effort going into just trying to get it to function by the deadline. This is interesting. Yeah.
This is mental.
Yeah. And the engine's not fully complete yet. It's still using a large chunk of Halo 5's engine, enough that like within 2 days, the like modding community of Halo already broke the complete engine. Like they figured it all out. Because it's basically the same engine that Halo 5's using, like for the most part. Like there's changes like the rendering pipeline. They're doing different things with like management of resources, AI. A lot of that stuff is upgraded, but it's still using a lot of Halo 5's game engine. And like you can kind of tell what they wanted to get to. Because like that E3 2018 trailer, that's technically an engine, but it's not real time. And that's a pre-rendered in the engine, and it couldn't do that in real time, and still can't do that in real time. Like, Like, that's what their goal was by the deadline. They just never got there.
Yeah, NXG brought up in his video. I wish you had been there, Lev, when we had him on. It was just incredible. I'm gutted you couldn't make it, brother. But yeah, NXG said in his Halo Infinite 2020 versus 2021, how much there are some certain like artistic choices that have been made that have improved certain like lighting scenes, but more often than not, so much has been completely scaled back in order for it to perform and get up to snuff. And you can see a huge decrease in the models, like no self-cast shadows, the eye rendering, and all that stuff has been massively diminished compared to the 2020 model.
In fact, I wonder if they even lost. I don't know who they did. The last Halo before this one had insane character models, and even the rigging of the faces was very good. But once you get to Halo Infinite, it was a step back. But you know what bothers me about Halo Infinite is I don't mind that it had a troubled development period. But what is the real shame is all the reviewers who decided to give this thing a 10 out of 10 when this was clearly not a 10 out of 10 game. It was a troubled game, troubled engine, troubled development. This was not Halo at its peak, but they were so into the nostalgia, they were so into the romance of Halo must come back, that now the stories after launch are telling us about the troubles. And I'm just like, guys, this thing had one tree for a whole freaking game. How is this biodiversity? They showed us the sea. They showed us things happening under the water. There were so many things they showed us in their original concept, and they did not deliver. Yeah, and they don't deliver, and you give them a 10? I was just like, what the hell is this? When Naughty Dog gets a 10, you can tell there's so much detail in that game. Halo got a 10 for a lack of detail. And I just feel it was a sympathy 10. And I'm not saying this to hate on Xbox, but the media needs to have a standard for what gets a 9.5, what gets a 10. Anybody who gave Halo a 10 for me is an idiot. Not an idiot. It's just someone I don't value their opinion, because there have been better Halos. And I'm not saying that Halo is a bad game, but I'm just saying even for Halo itself, we should hold it to a higher standard than just saying one tree, one biome, one type of cutscene, always going into those caves, and it was just so monotonous that I feel it's a shame to give that a 10. One day Halo will be good, and that game will deserve a 10, and they'll be like, hey, but I remember what the other 10s were like,
There's no denying it.
Even
I'm kind of impressed 343 managed to put out the game that they did in such a short space. When you see what they were dealing with in just 2019 alone, it's crazy. I can't quite get my head around it. Carry on, sorry, OT. Sorry, David.
Oh, sorry, OT. Did you have more to say on that point?
No. There's not. I was just saying that I just hope in the future, because I remember when Halo launched and I saw all the caveats, or it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this, but let's give it a 10. And I said I hope no PlayStation game ever gets a 10 in the same way. And people were really angry with that statement. The reality is, let 10s be earned, whether it's Xbox or not. Let them just be earned. This, what Lev is telling us here today, has proved that this was a troubled game the whole way through.
Yeah, and so I can even
agree. If they're gonna give a 10, it's gonna cheapen it.
Yeah, so like I can even tell exactly where the problem was in terms of game development. They overestimated the engine, like of how long it'd take to build the engine. That's like the biggest. So the reason they chose to build a new engine is iteration times, because the old engine makes it very difficult to make any changes. You want to add a rock, you're going to be sitting for 6 hours. You want to add a new weapon, you're going to be sitting for 12 hours. Like stuff like that. And this was an issue with Bungie's engine as well for Destiny. It was the biggest bottleneck to Destiny's game development. up until 2020 when they jumped engines as well. That they've been working on a new engine for Destiny for like 5 years. So they switched with Destiny 2 Beyond Light because it's the same engine. Halo and Destiny run on the same like core engine. And that's basically the goal they were trying to fix. And once they would fix that, they could pump out content faster than ever. That's the main goal of the Slip Space engine, because in Halo 5, the devs complained so much about how long it took to make maps that they started using the consumer-grade Forge editor that allows community members to make maps instead of the actual game engine. So they were just making it in the like Forge editor.
They were making Infinite's world in the Forge editor.
No.
Sorry.
Halo 5 content. Because it was so painful to work with the engine that they would just rather forge maps and content instead of actually make it in the engine. So like that was the main draw of why they wanted to upgrade the engine.
Right, I see.
Except they didn't get done with finishing the engine in time before they started to pump content. So they ran into the same issues. So that's why there's not enough content. Like that's why the content feels like not finished and incomplete, is because they were targeting like for 3 years. Like if it was going from like 2018 to 2020 and the engine was complete, it'd be perfectly fine with iteration time.
Mm-hmm.
But the engine wasn't done. And instead of delaying the game, they just pushed forward and tried to like do it in a mix of Halo 5 and Infinite's engine simultaneously. So like it came down to, we need a longer delay. They even like were giving Halo 5 a Master Chief Collection content to like hold over. So like, for me personally, they should have just committed to that and said, you know what, we need to take even longer. This game shouldn't come out in 2020. It probably even shouldn't come out in 2021. We should just target 2022. But they didn't. And now they have boatloads of problems that they're trying to fix. And
That's
enough
insane.
So in the past, for Halo 5, they could release a new content update every 2 months. So they drop new content every 2 months after Halo 5's launch. But Halo Infinite hasn't gotten any content added, and they're supposed to drop the first content at the 6 month mark, and I'd be skeptical if it even happens at this point at the 6 month mark, just because of all the technical issues. Like I did my personal like reviews of like things to fix the campaign and multiplayer, and like the biggest issues for like the multiplayer is like technical, like UI, the networking. Stuff like that need to be reworked to a final version. And so some of the Halo community is like mixed. Like there's now some divisions. Some players want them to continue with Halo Infinite, and some players want them to ditch it and rebuild it in a complete engine in like 3 years and release a Halo 7, basically.
That's what developers want.
Well, the community members want.
Do you know if some developers want that? Or do you think
don't... Well, some of them probably would, like the freedom of like not trying to patch this game into a good state and just say it's a good game, but it is going to be super difficult to get to where the potential of this game could be. Because Halo's core identity makes it great for free-to-play live service in terms of like design, because like Halo is supposed to be modular, but Halo Infinite isn't there. No. As a game, it fundamentally isn't. It's built more like a one and done. Like it has more in common, like technically with like Last of Us 2's like content updates than with Halo's. Yeah. Like it's designed like more of a single player game where you just release the product and don't change anything than a typical Halo game. And that's just because of the issues.
You know, the fact that this game still got 10 out of 10s and Sifu is getting some flag for its difficulty is honestly insane to me.
Facts. Shit's crazy. Well, Lev, you've blown my mind. I don't know if any of the panel want to talk about this as well. Shit's unbelievable. They got 2.5 years max to make a product. Go on, Faulkner.
Can I just want to touch back on the timeline. So 2019 was when they first got assets in engine to the new engine out of the Halo 5 engine. Is that right? 2019? Was it May?
Yeah, that's when they were started to transition over. May 2019 is the first point in time they could start doing that process.
Right, and so that's transition. And when were they able to get them through the pipeline, asset building through the pipeline in the new engine? After that, wasn't it?
Sometime after that, we don't really know. Or more rather, I didn't go through the 500 or 1,000 devs that worked on the game's LinkedIn's, all of them, and cross-reference to find that information out. I don't know exactly, but it happened sometime between May 2019 and 2020. And December 2019 is when that screenshot leaked. So at some point, whenever that screenshot was taken, it was still using Halo 5's engine, at least partially. They were working in it.
Right. And the beta test that occurred when they first decided, well, the beta test that they used to decide on the delay, when was that?
That's the 2020 demo that they showed off with Craig.
Yep.
They basically hit the point where they were to bug fixing and stuff. The game was going to ship for the most part like that. Maybe some of the technical issues would be fixed, but for the most part, it was going to ship like that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So we, at most 18 months out, they knew they had problems, and then less than 12 months out, they really knew they had problems, and then they decided to delay it 12 months, cut a heap more stuff out. Cool. 5 months out. Sorry. Right. Well, I got a couple of questions to the developers on this panel. If you're using an older, and that explanation you gave about the Halo 5 engine, how long it takes to build stuff and whatnot in that, very, very, very pertinent, I think. As developers, how do you go about cutting in this manner? And I don't say that all developers do it, but when you have to cut as much as they did and then shortcut as much as they did, how much time does that actually save you in the short term? Are we talking they saved months and months and months by doing this, or are we talking a few weeks?
Well, from a content designing aspect for game development, and then everything that goes on with the engine side, if you completely decide to cut content in such a manner, your next thing is to focus on everything else that you have and make it as fine-tuned and as good as possible. So you're basically a blacksmith, and you are either the iron, one person is the heated iron and the other is the hammer. It's an interesting thing to note because a similar situation like this happened with the original Destiny, with Vanilla Destiny. The game had a very, very, very similar scope, and we all know how, if you remember that Jason Schreier article that he released when he was a part of Kotaku back in 2000. This was basically right around the release of The Taken King. He relayed a very in-depth expose, intrusive kind of thing about how Destiny went through a very similar kind of thing where the engine wasn't quite as optimized, and they showed a B-roll to Activision and Bungie staff, and upper management didn't like it. Didn't like what was in the B-roll footage of what the game was supposed to launch with, and they decided to delay the game internally by 18 months, basically at that point. And part of that was to cut content, move content away from the game, change the entire structure, and then they had a team that was that basically took everything else that they had working at that point and just become. They called one team the Hammer team and the other team the Iron. The Iron team was the team that got those assets ready. The Hammer team and everything was the team that hammered that iron into a blade. And that's how you got that kinetic but short on content launch situation with that plagued Destiny for muchly about a year into it until they were able to solve their cadence in delivering content. And part of that reason was because the engine that they had at the time, like he said, was like Clev said, just wasn't was not very good at rendering and managing assets and creating them because it took quite a long time. And that was a situation that was very much tied to the very, very archaic design philosophies of 360 PlayStation 3 era design. And when you're moving on to something for a live service game engine, you kind of need faster iterations. So like engines, really good engines, take about 5 years to complete. 5 years to complete. And your core feature sets take about 3.5 years to make sure, take about 3.5 years to get right when you're scripting an engine and compiling all the data and doing all these things, which it's why, you know, if we were to segue back to Horizon, most of the Guerrilla's Decima engine was never built for open world technology. And so when they moved from open world, when they moved from their linear for even wide linear design philosophies, their engine had to be evolved to take on the task of building open world. And with that comes memory allocation, memory usage problems that you need to solve. And which is exactly why we couldn't, like I said, from one of their developer talks, you couldn't get in the first Horizon because they still had to solve the issue of an open world and populating it and managing everything within that world, creating something that was also deep in terms of exploration, and then also for streaming things when you're flying through, just wasn't something they were capable of solving in 2017, which is why things are the way they are now. So Lev, I'm pretty shocking, but like in the grand spect of things, really good insight into how engines work and just how content has to be cut and tailored once you decide that you're going to delay because shit just ain't working. So hope that answers your question, David.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. There was one other point that was made around the shortcutting by utilizing coding from the Halo 5 engine. And I suppose the same question then applies there. How much time and how much savings do you get in the short term if you just copy and pasting coding basically across into a new engine and just running with it? Does you genuinely get time saving from it, or are we talking minimal time versus maximum time?
Well,
I suppose what I'm trying to gauge is for the amount of stuff they've cut out and the amount of shortcutting done, and they reckon they had 500 to 1,000 devs working on this particular thing. Where did the time get invested?
So they would save time, obviously, but then they would save time because at that point they would already have things working and working to a performant enough state where they could show these things to board members and say that this is what we have working. Based on this, we could forecast that within the next 5 or 6 months we could have something ready for launch. We're gonna crunch the fuck out of it to get it done, But it can be done because it's manageable within that sense, because at that point, they no longer have the insurmountable odd of fixing, implementing, and building on an engine while trying to build an entire full service game. And with that point, like I said, at that point, they're able to focus on what they have that's working moderately well enough to hammer that out to something that is polished enough to get these sympathy 10s, as Oti puts it. But yeah, that also, like I said, that time saving that they have is a luxury because they're Microsoft. They have infinite amount of money, and they could bring in all that staff. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but yeah, at that point they could bring in that much staff, invest that much money to rapidly bring people in to fix all this stuff. And yeah,
what baffles me is that they had all the money to delay the game and time to delay the game, and they didn't. It was like the devs were. I don't know. Would you say that, Lev? Were the devs rushed here?
Yeah, pretty much almost all of them made like statements about feeling, like public statements about feeling that they put in a lot of like effort to try to get this game in the best state possible. And it's really because Xbox, it's because Xbox wanted to have a good launch for this Series X console. Like they wanted to launch good, because that's what killed the Xbox One, is it had a rough start. So they wanted a good start to the Series X, to the point that they started undermining the quality of the game. And then they had to pivot from that. Like the development team, once they got the delay.
That's crazy.
Man, but those kind of developmental issues and delays are quite dangerously common now.
Did DZ say he had to go? Is that what he said?
He was having trouble.
Yeah, I think that's what he's...
Yeah.
No worries. Carry on, Wilhelm. Sorry, bro.
I just wanted to get that out. That it's quite crazy how common those kind of developmental mismanagements are nowadays. Like you get like news left and right how game ships kind of incomplete. Not all game modes are available. You have to wait for updates and patches for specific things to be added into the experience, and it's just insane to me. Like, so rarely nowadays, like in recent years, you get a game that's like complete, like fully functional, everything is there. You don't have that nowadays a lot, it seems.
Yeah, and that's because managerial issues. Because as games get bigger and bigger, it becomes harder for like a game dev to be in charge of management. So then they have to bring in people with management degrees. But the management degree people don't understand like coding or like art production. So they will look at something and you'll say, oh, this will take me 2 months, and not realize that 2 months is tentative, and that really means 2 to 6 months. It just comes down to however your situation is. So it's just what's causing a lot of these issues with like games coming out incomplete is there's a disconnect between management and the developers in terms of getting content out. And because of like different priorities, things are getting polished at the wrong times. Like Halo Infinite's a perfect example. They really shouldn't have started actually building the game's like content until the engine was complete. Like that's when you should start the game, not when the engine's like a third of the way there, like we can boot the engine. Like that's not when you should start.
What made them start making the game with an incomplete engine? Was it like the higher up saying, listen, you need to start getting the game ready?
Yeah, there's the pressure that they need to release the game by like 2019 or 2020.
Oh my
So dicking around for 2-3 years to get a good engine just causes you to be more stressed out. So they were making a hard cut to make that release time.
It sounds like an absolute nightmare. Go on, Wilhelm. Sorry, bro.
Oh no, I wanted to know, like,
was me.
Yeah, David wanted to say something.
Sorry, David.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. It's something that, and again, correct me if you share your opinion if you don't agree with me, but I've said for a while now, I've probably been saying it for the last 2 or 3 years. There's a massive disconnect between senior management and production management, even if there is any production management at Xbox and Microsoft Gaming. There's a massive disconnect between the forward-facing, the consumer-facing senior management and production house staff and the teams themselves. So, we've heard all this stuff about Halo Infinite. We heard all the back then we heard all the issues it had. It showed that thing with Craig, and then it was delayed and all the rest of it. But up until the point where it was delayed, I mean, like even the day that it was delayed, we kept hearing from professional commentators, because they're not journalists. We kept hearing from everybody that had a bloody flea-bitten dog that was involved in this thing that it was going to be launch day with the Series X. There was no way around it. They had the console, limited edition consoles there. We were guaranteed to get it come hell or high water. The beta testing occurred 5 months out, and all of a sudden it's, holy shit, this thing is not good enough. We've got to move it. But well before then, someone should have put their hand up, and some people probably were putting their hand up at the dev level and say, this thing just is not going to be ready. It's not going to meet the target you want. You've got to give us more time. Because there's no way, again, the devs on the panel, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no way you'd be sitting there knowing you're going to miss a deadline and still keep hammering away at it, not something. You're too engrossed and too passionate in your work to put something out that's rubbish. And it's not fair on the devs that it's come out in the way that it has. But the senior management to just sit there and go, no, it'll be right, make it happen. What the hell was middle management doing? You're never going to see something like that come out of Sony, because they've got the pipeline there with the production staff at senior management level that can manage. And, I mean, we harp on about it a lot, but Days Gone is an example of something that took forever to get there, and they still kicked it out. Yes, it had some bugs, but they got them fixed pretty quickly. Well, why was 18 months out from supposed launch date, they're only just transferring assets in, and they can't even get engine asset pipeline ready to go? Someone with any knowledge about game development should have known at that point, we are not going to make this thing look like what we need it to look like to launch with the Series X. I can't believe that they kept going until 5 months out. From my perspective, it is an indictment on the poor ability for Xbox to get a game to market. And I don't mean Xbox in general, their production house staff. It is an indictment on them to treat their number one IP with such contempt and treat their developers in such a poor way, to not give them a chance to make the thing shine. No wonder they were leaving from 343. And the people in that they did and have to split it in two, it comes out with pretty much nothing in it. It's appalling. And I'm not here to shit on the game, because the devs put in a shitload of hard work.
Absolute facts. It's a travesty.
Man alive, come on. And then to sit around and actually allow people to think that they spent $500 million building that's like that's slapping the line management team, production team at 343 on the other side of the face. There's no way that thing's cost $500 million. No way, for the shit that's come out, and for the amount of shortcutting that they've done. There's no way.
Well, that was a confirmed fake rumor. That it was
Xbox didn't cut off that rumor. You noticed? It made it into IGN. It made it in Schreier's articles. It made it all over the place. And even Xbox would stand there with Phil Spencer would have a smile on his face when he was on camera. They say it's a $500 million baby, and he'd sit there with a big grin on his face.
I can't go into
pumping his freaking ego up.
I can't say unless I have unless I have actually permission from the person who informed me. but I can't say how much. But what I will say is that Halo definitely did not cost 500 million to make, and that's all I can say.
You know what I think about this?
The numbers that I can.
Oh, sorry. Just go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna. No, I was just gonna say the point that I was gonna make. The range that I can say, because I can't give the number, but I can say the range. It was around about the same amount of money that they made Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for.
Damn, that sounds about right.
It's 100 to 120 million mark.
Damn, and a lot of it must have just gone into salaries because those guys took so long. You know what I was.
Contractors aren't cheap.
Yeah, you know what I was realizing about. I don't want to blame 343 too much. You know, the thing is, they were a studio that was not at the peak of gaming, and yet they were given one of the most beloved franchises. And when I say they were not at the peak, I'm not saying they're a bad studio, but if you look at the studios that are doing very well, there's a balance between the technical aspect, meaning the engine is smoothly running. Like, for instance, Doom. The Doom engine is smooth. Those guys can really keep pumping out those games in quick succession because the engine is so well refined. But there's a balance between the creative aspect and the technical. So when you look at studios that have very good streamlined engines, Naughty Dog, the Decima engine is probably the most streamlined engine, you know, so it allows these guys to focus on the art. Now, what I think Microsoft did is they never really had a fantastic engine to really brag about. I mean, the Halo engine was okay for back in the day, but moving forward, even the Gears engine is on Unreal, and Unreal can never truly maximize hardware. So I feel like the major criticism they had is management should have realized we need a balance between the two. If that means there's not enough time to make a new engine, this is where you need good leadership, and that's why I think Sony chose Herman Hulst to head all these other studios. You know, right now he's the what's Herman Hulst's position?
He's head of PlayStation Studios.
Yes, because he's understood the technical and the artist side of it. He understands, like, hey, I can see what was wrong with Days Gone. The engine, maybe these guys didn't have enough time. That's why I think Microsoft may need someone like that, because I've always felt they struggled with getting that fine balance between someone who understands.
Sorry, Oti, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that was it. It was just saying that.
I was just going to compliment your point and say, you know what I think? I think Microsoft should just sell Xbox to someone who would do far better with it. Who actually give a shit and would make Xbox great again. Dare I say, I hate using that term, you know, but carry on.
Y'all made that.
No, I finished.
Hello. You've said everything, have you, OT? Is that you?
Yeah. I said everything.
Awesome. No, you're spitting facts, bro.
Have you gone?
Yeah, Leviathan had to dash. His laptop died, and he would come on. He would come back on, and he might be able to come back on in a bit. He can't guarantee though, because he's got tied up with certain things. So but mate, cool. I'm just stoked as fuck that he was on tonight. It was just awesome to hear him share that awesome insight.
Yeah.
He would be the best private investigator going. He's freaking incredible, like how he does stuff and researches stuff. But just think about that. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say. I just wanted to say thanks to Levy and to Deezy for answering those couple of questions. I felt it was important to nut that little bit out, because
100%.
It shows you just how much the management and 343 devs and team leaders and all that, they only do as they're told, basically instructed. They shouldn't wear any of this. And in my opinion, it's only the senior management at 343 and middle and upper management at Xbox. They're the ones that have to wear this one. They fucked up. There's no two ways about that. They fucked up, and then they deserve to be wrapped. Not praised, they should be wrapped for it.
What it shows is that their attitude of Halo is not what it should be. Microsoft's view of what they have. I mean, and how they treated the devs. It's not. Then these are corporates at the top. These are businessmen and not gamers. They're old men in suits.
Yeah. I disagree a little bit. Bill and his crew, the exception of Sarah Bond and maybe one other, the other one's just retired basically. All the rest of them are bloody frat boy computer programmers who are pissing daddy's money up the wall and having a good laugh at their expense. There's no old men in suits running Xbox. They've got an absolute gem of a person there in Sarah Bond who could, like you said before, if they sell Xbox, I'll tell you what, give Sarah a crack at it first and then let Amazon buy it.
Facts.
Because there's no way that Phil's going to drag this thing out of the quagmire that it's in. And he can't compete with the genuine suits who are running the business at Sony, NetEase, Tencent, Nintendo. He's going to get spanked every day of the week and then some. But it's, I just want to finish on that point. No one should be getting stuck in the 343 devs and team leaders about this. It's not their fault. They did what they were asked to do with the tools they had at the best that they could. And thanks to Deezy and Levy for answering that one. Now, I have to go, guys. I'm really sorry.
All right, David, brother. It's been awesome having you on, bro, and thank you so much, as always.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Take care, bro.
Nice chatting with you again.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, David.
You too, mate. You too. Thanks, guys. Hey, Wilhelm, you must talk about that 3D Realms game. Please talk about that.
3D Realms.
We 100% are doing, brother. That is on the agenda. Don't you worry. And I can't wait to hear what Wilhelm has to say.
I'll catch up with you.
Take care. Bye.
I'll catch you later.
All the
See
best,
you, lads.
mate. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, man. See ya.
Great that Deezy's back. But yeah, thank you to Lev and Deezy for that awesome breakdown. And what David just said then is absolute.
Sorry, guys.
Go on, Akira.
No. I thought you heard the baby.
All right, no worries.
Just started crying. Sorry.
But what Faulkner just said then about, how Microsoft need to take accountability for how poorly they've treated this project and the devs and the team is so true. I mean, when you break it down, what Leviathan has broken down for us there and shown us, it's honestly, it boggles my mind. It absolutely baffles my mind what has the journey that this game has been through. Even he was lost for words. He literally said, I was looking at it and was in disbelief. It's not every day Leviathan Gamer says something like that. He was in absolute disbelief over the small amount of time that Halo Infinite has had. And even then, it was on an engine that wasn't even complete, like 75% complete. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, so there's a bit of insight for you folks. And once again, enough with the rumor about Halo Infinite being 500 million. You've heard it from David tonight. I've known it for quite some time myself from another source that it was far from 500,000. In fact, it was cheaper than the average PlayStation title to make. So that gives you an insight. But no, I'd love to hear now. Moving on. I mean, we can touch on Crossfire if you want. 2022 is looking shady for Xbox, but let's make this let's add something positive first before we jump into that. I want to talk about these new upcoming exciting games, and I'm not talking about the big ones like Horizon Forbidden West. Wilhelm, do you wanna take this one?
I do want to. Okay, come on. I take it. Okay. I hope I deliver well.
Go on.
I have to structure my sentences, or else verbal diarrhea comes out. Well, boomer shooters. Those old school shooters are. I don't want to say a dying art form, but they definitely aren't the those AAA mainstream titles they used to be. You know, they kind of drifted to the indies, which is actually quite wonderful because before, you know, when all those when military linear shooters with health regen became a thing, you know, like the CODs and all that, you know, old school shooters and old school shooter design, it just wasn't the thing anymore. You know, the AAA publishers didn't want to invest in those sort of games. You know, even Duke Nukem Forever, for example, even that being a sequel to Duke Nukem 3D, was also pretty much like a modern shooter. You know, with implementing elements of games like Halo, for example, and so they kind of became like a dying art form for a while because there was nothing really, there wasn't a game of that caliber ever coming out. But then in the recent years, it actually got a sort of revival on the indies. You know, indie devs became interested in that sort of game, and you know, basically many people who love games like Blood, love the games like Duke Nukem and all those type of FPS games, basically just said, well, let's do it ourselves. So a wave in the indies of those type of games basically started to emerge with publishers like developers like New Blood, for example. New Blood who are known for publishing, distributing, publishing games like, for example, Dusk and Ahmed Evil, which are both games that are inspired by old school shooters like Blood, Quake, and Hexen and Heretic, if anybody remembers those games. And 3D Realms, while they're not the kind of powerhouse developers, publishers they used to be, they still are out there publishing those kind of retro FPS games. You know, they published, for example, Ion Fury, which is a spiritual successor to Duke Nukem 3D. Also a game that's also made on the build engine, the very engine that games like Blood and Duke utilized, the original Shadow Warrior. Mm-hmm. And they got a bunch of new titles coming up. Like, I see 3D Realms catalog, they got a bunch of things coming up. Like, for example, Cultic, which is also an FPS inspired by Blood. They also are planning on releasing remasters of the game Sin and Kingpin Life of Crime, which are both games running on the Quake engine, Quake or Quake 1 engine, I don't remember exactly. Graven is a title that's currently in early access, so they still work on it. And the newest game that they're working on is called Rip Out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know much about Rip Out. I'm sorry, I'm not on that front, like not like Leviathan. You know, I don't dive in too deep when it comes to that sort of stuff. You know, I see the trailers, for example, and just get super pumped. And like I say, I am pumped for Rip Out. It's from the trailers that was released, it kind of looks like that it's going to be co-op. You've already played the trailer, right?
Yeah, I was just trying to look. Yeah. I was trying to look for the developers. It's being made by Pet Project Games and published by 3D Realms. So it looks like 3D Realms are publishing games for indie developers, but it looks phenomenal. Graven as well.
Graven as well, which is also a game in the spirit of Hexen and Heretic.
Oh wow!
And I think it's very exciting that you know that's kind of a retro revival, because you don't see games like these anymore. You know, with made by AAA publishers, made by big name studios.
I'm getting slight Thief vibes from this as well.
Yeah, oh They also New Blood is also developing a spiritual successor to Thief, which with Gloomwood also.
Really? What's it called?
Yeah, Gloomwood.
Gloomwood. I'll search that up in a sec and show everyone.
They do a bunch of stuff. They basically are the epitome of they don't make them like they used to, so they basically make them like
they used to.
Like they do the old school FPS and the old school stealth games, and I love that. I want
Insomniac to bring back Disruptor, man. If Insomniac brought back a Disruptor, that would be absolute cake for me.
It's exciting because you don't see that type of game anymore. At least in the mainstream, by big name publishers, because it's that type of game to them at least is not very profitable, or because all them kids they want the multiplayer cards and battlefields. They don't want that like old guys boomers play, but. What? Though that old shit was the best shit.
Yeah, facts.
That old shit was the best shit. I absolutely love those kind of games.
This is looking fire, mate. Great.
Yeah, I can't.
Wow.
I can't stretch that enough. Like old school shooters, the Quakes, the Dooms, the Duke Nukems. Like I love them all. Like their experiences like no others. Like if you've only played those linear. COD campaigns and all that, like playing a shooter like Doom, playing a shooter like Duke Nukem is like, it's honestly like how can I say this? Like an enlightenment of some sort. Like you start to understand life when you play those games.
Facts, bro. That was beautiful. Yeah, you did that really well. That speech, man.
Thank you.
Gloomwood.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look. Here we go. 1 month ago. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Anybody else have? Go on. Sorry.
I just want to say, like, if you are one of those people who say, they don't make them like they used to, check out 3D Realms and New Blood, because they basically do them like they used to. Like you get those. They'll get those type of games, and I'm so stoked and I'm so hyped that that those games now finally found a place again.
Wow. Yeah, man. 100%. OT, was that you?
Yeah. It's the way he's talking about the game, man. It just reminded me. I was saying in the chat that this generation, I think indies are coming into they've matured. I just feel like indie studios are just making such a big statement, because I just realized there's a time I wasn't really paying much attention to indie games in the PS3 era, and then in the PS4 era I started to pay a bit of attention, but in the PS5 era, Series X, PS5, I feel indies have really they started maturing in the PS4, Xbox One era, but right now I just feel like Sifu is an example of a game that's taken people's hearts. And then soon there's going to be the Ninja Turtles. The guys who made Streets of Rage, they're going to make the Ninja Turtles game. And those old games just speak to my soul. And this is one thing we really should thank Phil Spencer, because this game conservation, it's something which there's so many games on Mega Drive that I realize how many of us are going to get a refurbished Mega Drive to play if they could take time to sort of even go further back onto platforms that were not based on Xbox or PlayStation and bring some of those games to us. That would be fantastic for me, because like one of the games I love so much is Rolling Thunder. That game, I think you can find it on PC and Mega Drive, but there's no PlayStation version. But it's one of those games I love, and it's just sad that it's not on the I cannot get it in any form. Now, I think there's a version on PlayStation, but it's not the 2-player version. But I really like this stuff of bringing back these old games.
Facts. This game's speaking to my soul right now. I tell you, one of my favorite games of all time is Thief: Deadly Shadows. And I love Project Dark as well, which was like a realistic mod, like a super hardcore mod of Thief. And yeah, I love honestly, this game's looking fire right now.
Also, the big thing for Rip Out is I think it's like the first time that I've seen it. That game is also coming out on console.
It's co-op as well.
Yeah, co-op as well, and also on console because I don't remember the other recent 3D Realms titles. Having that kind of day and date release, on both PC and console. Usually, it gets if the game's profitable enough, console port later. But that seems to come out, on both console and the PC. So that's a new one.
What about you, DZ? Anything coming up that you like the look of? He's still not here. We'll wait. Whenever you're back, bro. If you can hear us, just speak. But yeah.
I'm back.
Oh, sweet, nice.
Sorry. I keep forgetting that I had myself on mute, probably because I'm high right now.
Crazy guy.
Shoot. In terms of any game that I'm looking forward to, you know what? Besides the big heavy hitters, Trey's looking really, really interesting for me. I'm really curious about that studio and their approach to tackling some things, because it is an indie game, but it's using stuff like ray tracing in some pretty clever ways. And I don't know.
You've gone really quiet, bro.
Huh?
You've gone really
can
quiet.
You hear me now?
Now we can.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying that I'm looking forward to Stray because of how the developers are using that game and doing some certain things. So there aren't very many indie games that are using ray tracing, the ray tracing features of either of these consoles. So they're using that, and it just looks really cool, and I love that cyberpunk dystopia future. I'm looking forward to that.
Facts. Yeah, mate, what OT said is spot on. Indie games are blowing up, and they're just hitting so hard right now. Indie developers are really going places, and they're getting so much better and more skilled, and the tech that they've got is just so much better that we're seeing what games that would have been considered AAA a decade ago, but with even better visuals than we had a decade ago. Some of the quality that we're seeing from these indie developers. I mean, look at Sifu, man. It was made by a team of how many, Akira? 30?
Over 30 developers, yeah. About 30.
30 developers. And look at what Sifu's doing, man. It's just crazy.
And see in their website, they said they're about 30 developers.
And what about you, brother? What indie game are you most excited about? There's so many, right?
Well, a lot of the
wizard of indie games.
A lot of the indie games I'm excited for is, of course, from the East. The two games from China Hero Project just went gold recently. So Animationem was the 2D side-scrolling anime-looking game from China Hero Project, and the other one's In Nightmare. In Nightmare is kind of from the top camera perspective horror game. It's hard to explain, to be honest. Do you have an option to search for the footage?
Definitely In Nightmare.
Check check in Nightmare. Yeah, that's someone
I've seen this game.
Very excited for. Because like you said, there are games that they don't do it like they used to, right? And in Nightmare looks like those games that how they do it back in the day, only modernized, right? It's kind of like the idea. If we're gonna talk about the West, of course, indie game would be Stray, the cat from Devolver Digital. What do you call this? Trek to Yomi, that 2D samurai game from Devolver Digital as well. Flying Wild Hog is developers. They're also making Shadow Warriors 3, which is releasing on March 1st.
That looks really good. It looks like Doom in terms of its fluidity and polish.
Yeah, Doom and Titanfall combined. Yeah, and they also have you also have man, what was this? This indie game right now is kind of like not on consoles yet, but I'm keeping an eye on it. So it's called Project Kato. It's on Twitter. Midnight Fight Express. It's like a beat 'em up made by one guy.
Midnight Fight Express looks insane, bro.
Yeah, Midnight Fight Express is made by one guy only, Jacob Dunzel.
Bro,
he's making the game on his own, and it seems like it was confirmed for PS5, I believe, and Xbox.
It was confirmed for PS5. I thought it was Xbox exclusive.
I believe it was confirmed for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5. And PS4, of course. I mean, it's not that demanding of a game, so it can be cross-gen, right? I believe it's multiplayer. Wait, I can take a look real quick at Jacob Dunzel's account. Again, this one guy created this game, and I'm blown away. The talent of people, right? And this guy is not even. I talked to this guy on Twitter, right? On the DMs, and he's not really. He's not even full time into this. Like, this is his part-time thing, Oh, there it is. See, Midnight Fight Express is coming summer 2022. PC, Xbox, PS, and Nintendo Switch.
That's amazing.
There you go. So there, another indie game I'm excited for. Midnight Fight Express. I mentioned Trek to Yomi and Shadow Warriors 3.
What's that Blade Runner-esque one? What's that Cyberpunk one? That side?
Oh, that's Vigilante 2099, I believe. Vigilante 2099. That's also indie. Those developers are, I think there are about three people, if I remember.
I'm talking about the side-scroller one.
Replaced. You're talking about Replaced.
Yeah,
Replaced, yeah.
Bro.
Replaced, yeah. That's also another one I'm excited for. Replaced.
Who else
shown on
is
Xbox E3.
Who was that?
But it was multiplat. I think they're new. The Replaced developers are new.
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, they're new.
Stray. I always thought Stray was made in Japan. I guess I just assumed.
It's they're Western. If I remember correctly, Stray developers are from Europe, if I'm not mistaken, because Shadow Warriors French.
Yeah, the developers the developers that are doing Stray, they're French.
They're like Slow Clap. They're also from France.
Yeah. And yeah, their publisher isn't Devolver Digital. It's actually Annapurna.
Oh shit! You're right. Damn it. Yeah, I mixed it up. No, thank you for DC. That's right. Annapurna Interact. Annapurna has a lot of indie games. Bringing.
Beautiful.
They are integral for putting on the independent developers with the small to AA budget.
Yeah, both of them, right? I mean, both Annapurna and Devolver Digital, they're really pushing that indie market very well, to be honest. I mean, Shadow Warriors 3 doesn't really look indie, to be honest, but it is an indie game. Right. So yeah, I mentioned Project Kato. You can also see in Twitter.
Keep talking, Akira. I'll be right. I'll literally just be 30 seconds.
Thamisia from Thailand. Confirmed for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5. I'm sure you've seen it before. Of course, a lot of the indie games I'm excited for is also on from the East, right? Aside from China Hero Project, You got games like technically they were indie, but then they get publishers because they get this incubator program that they're on. So I considered them indie before. For example, Showa American Story from Netcom Games was from China. Well, of course, Lost Soul Aside used to be indie. I believe they're getting a publisher now as well. Black Myth Wukong is still an indie game. I mean, they don't have a publisher; they're still publishing themselves as of right now, from what I know. There's two Chinese games I forgot the name from, but you remember them because they are running on bamboos and shit. You remember them, right? The Chinese games where you run on bamboos to traverse the landscape there, basically.
Did you mean that one
I
level
remember
from
which game
Sly? You mean that one level from Sly Cooper 3?
No, oh mate, shout out to Sly Cooper, man.
That's cool.
No,
man.
yeah,
That's
I know.
and,
Those two Chinese games, they kind of look like they play exactly the same. I know exactly what you mean. His sister gets kidnapped, and he goes after his sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you what, let no one challenge Akira's knowledge on indie games. He flipping knows every single one in development. I swear, you need to buddy up with Yoshida.
He's really cool. I mean, it was his birthday recently, right? Mm-hmm. Another indie game I would consider, of course, would be what do you call this? I mean, even if they got publishers recently, right? When you develop a game starting as a studio, it's still considered indie because you develop it alone first. You know what I mean, DZ? Right? That's kind of like how it works, right? You kind of starts, with a studio, and then the publisher gets interested, and they publish it for you. But technically, it was still an indie game to begin with. Yeah, so, for example, a game like Gungrave Gore from South Korea, which the thing about Gungrave Gore again, this is the Gungrave Gore studio is very interesting. So they got the South Korean developers, and you got the original Gungrave developers from the Japan to join them in that South Korean studio.
Look at this trailer, man. It's freaking.
And then Project Eve is big right now. I mean, there are about over 260 developers the last time they mentioned, but technically they are still publishing themselves. They're shipped up.
Wow.
So Project Eve technically is considered indie. That's kind of like how I see indie games, right? If you're publishing yourself, you're independent, right?
Facts.
No matter, in my opinion, it doesn't matter how big you are. As long as you're publishing yourself, you're still independent. And if you started a game by the studio itself, then it's still independent. For example, Slow Clap, Sifu, even if they got support from Epic and Sony, right? They're still independent. They still published it themselves first before anybody got into it. Like same with Project Eve and Lost Soul Aside and Pearl Abyss is fucking huge, right? But they published themselves. Pearl Abyss is Pearl Abyss. Right, they got their developers and they got their basically they're the publishing arms themselves. Pearl Abyss is becoming the Square Enix of Korea. You know what I mean?
Mate, Pearl Abyss are dangerous. Big. They are dangerous, man. Like their games that they've got in the works are insane.
I think the main strength of Pearl Abyss is that their range of games is very different from each other. Like I said, the three games that they have in development right now, Plan 8, DOKV, and Crimson Desert are so different from each other that if you see them separately, you would not even know they're made by the same studio.
Are they all used on the same engine?
They have their own engine.
My friend Felix, I met her on the train just yesterday.
Yeah, they have their own engine.
Shout out to her.
Black something. What's the name of the engine? I forgot.
She was saying that DOKV is inspired by basically the South Korean equivalent of yokai.
This is
they're called Dokubi or something like that.
Yeah, I did not know that they were the equivalent of yokai because I saw the developer interview from Pearl Abyss about DOKV, and they did mention that DOKV is based on their popular mythology. That's what they said.
Yeah.
And I knew that they were originally called DOKV, and I thought that was kind of like, all right, maybe it looks like it's a Pokemon, but in Korea, it's kind of like how I thought about it. But actually get the information that it's equivalent to yokai, it actually makes it a lot cooler, in my opinion. That makes me more excited for the game. And what else you got? But yeah, I mentioned Thamisia, right? Yeah, Thamisia from Thailand is another one. I forgot this game. There was also this other indie game that was very interesting. It was using music in a hack and slash gameplay.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you. Yeah, it's called heavy. It's like a heavy metal Doom meets music.
No, not heavy metal. It was actually symphony something. Did you see that DZ? IGN covered it, and it was let's say it was a black guy. He was one guy who was working on it. Oh, do you remember that, DZ?
I've heard of it. Hold on.
It was symphony something. Basically, what he was doing is that every time you attack in the game, it plays a tune, right? Like you're playing music while playing a hack and slash game. I've never seen anything like it before.
BPM, bullets per minute, or Metal Hellsinger.
No, that's something different. That's something different. No, that's also not the one.
Oh, right.
This one, when this one showed itself, it was like playing classical music, and it had the notes and shit. And wait, give me a sec. I'm pretty sure I can find that guy. Because IGN.
I must ask you a question. Yes, I've got to go, but let me ask one question.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. These guys on dope.
Sorry, OT. Say that again.
What did you say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my earphone dropped. Yeah, these guys are from South Korea, Dokev, the Dokev developers. I've been confused by that studio because number one, they haven't produced anything previously that looked as good, because it feels for me like they've made a monumental leap in terms of their graphical abilities.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they are faking it, but it's made me question if this is really true. I wonder, is the South Korean gaming market so big that it gave these guys a lot of money from other games, maybe mobile games or whatever it is, that has allowed them to get a budget where they brought in a lot of people who could help them make that leap? Because normally it takes 2 or 3 games before you get. You guys just leapt. Or number two, so the question is it that the South Korean gaming scene is much bigger than I thought? Or number two, does the government come in to fund some of these studios, giving them a much bigger budget?
So to answer the question, yes, the South Korean, actually, the South Korean scene, on the gaming scene is gigantic. I mean, they've always been big, especially in Asia. They've been releasing a lot of PC popular games in Asia before. A lot of my childhood games are from South Korea. When I played on PC. And the thing about South Korea is when it comes to gaming, for example, they treat developers, esports players, basically anybody who's involved in the gaming industry like celebrities in Korea, because that's how big it is. It is a gigantic community of gamers. This is they've always been trying to hit the West, but they don't properly know how exactly. They've really never made proper console games before. And what do you call this? So Black Desert happened, which was done by Pearl Abyss, same developers from DokeB, which it started with PC and then they started to put it on consoles, but PlayStation, for example. And then it seems like that was like the first realization for them that to hit the West, they need to enter the console market, the console space. So that's when it started, but all the South Korean developers start coming out of the woodwork, and they used to do PC only. Now they're doing both PC and PlayStation. And also the fact that Shuei Yoshida and Sean Benson apparently was on a trip to Korea before, looking at South Korean games and developers, and Shift Up was one of them. That's why Project E was on the PS Showcase, because as Sean Benson noted back then in their Twitter account, they were so impressed that they just needed to show it. It's kind of like the idea. And for now, Project E was the only one that that they talked about. and Shuei Yoshida also marketed this multiplayer game called Project Magnum, which is also from South Korea. So
That
yeah,
looks amazing.
it's
Project
always
Magnum.
been a gigantic gaming scene. South Korea has always been great when it comes to entertainment. Their movies, from the shows, from especially entertainment. So basically, movie and shows, they already figure out how to hit the West, right, or the worldwide. But gaming, they just started to realize their surest ticket to it is the console space.
They're
So
extremely
now
talented,
they,
man.
as almost all of their games now are doing PC and consoles, because PCs where they originally are developing games for, and now consoles, because apparently they discovered it's have that worldwide appeal that they can access, which happened because now people are also talking about South Korean games now. Black Desert became way more popular than it already is. Pearl Abyss started, it was big, but they didn't really have anything. Black Desert was just a hit for them, and then they started developing these 3 games: Plan 8, WKV, and Crimson Desert. And again, they're not alone. There's a lot of South Korean developers just joined the fray because they've always been wanting to hit worldwide. But again, they always try
to do
PC.
that with the level of visuals we're seeing here, and the ambition and scope of the game itself is just unbelievable. It's like Dragon's Dogma on absolute steroids.
The thing about South Korea that people will need to expect, right? Because I've been playing a lot of South Korean games. Like I said, a lot of childhood games for PCs from South Korea. You need to expect a lot of flash. A lot of Korea loves flashy gameplay. They love that style, right? Like, if you're gonna notice, even their Bloodborne inspired game Lies of P still has style with it, right? It's kind of like South Korean DNA right there. Crimson Desert, even if it's like Dragon's Dogma, they don't forget that style. It's still full of style, the way the gameplay works. Even DokeV is full of fucking style. It's just
facts.
it looks like it's a
Actually,
game for
Dokkan
kids,
is
right?
very stylish. But you know what's impressed the most
Yeah.
about these games was
Go ahead, sorry.
Crimson Desert.
Sorry?
Yes,
Akira.
I'm saying-
Oh, Crimson Desert, yeah.
Let me speak.
Sorry, Crimson
Yeah,
Desert, yeah.
Crimson Desert, in my mind, is what I expected Final Fantasy to look like. If I was to create a perfect Final Fantasy, these guys somehow created what I thought. So South Korea for me is just blowing my mind right now. I feel like what happened between The Witcher 2 and 3 that boosted CD Projekt Red, I think we may be seeing that right now with South Korea. Anyway, guys, I've got to go,
Yeah,
but thanks so
take care,
much.
OT.
Yeah.
All the best.
By
man.
the way, Wooly DZ, it's called Sword of Symphony is the name of the game
I'll search
that I
it
was
up.
talking about.
We'll do that.
Sword
and
of
then we'll
Symphony-
have one last look at
Sorry.
Atomic Heart as well, because that looks insane.
Sword of Symphony is a game that they're trying to mix music with hack and slash.
Yeah.
It's
Goodbye,
kinda-
OT, mate. Good night, bro. Much love.
Yeah, take care, OT. Which one do you want to see? Sorry.
We're looking at Sword of Symphony now. No idea what this is.
Oh, Sword of Symphony. Yeah. You need to turn the music, the sound on, right?
Okay.
Because it's important.
Okay, we'll do that now.
So you can understand
announcement
what I mean.
trailer.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me have a look at the gameplay. See what pops up. Here we go. Oh, I see. It's like a
It's hack and slash, but you're playing music with it, and it has a lot of potential because, he's making multiple characters, which means you can have multiple instruments to play along with the game, right? It's a very creative idea,
wow.
unique, to be honest.
Yeah, that's incredible. Man, I just love this. I
And
love this.
it's made by it's being made by one guy. I talked to him on Twitter as well. It's one guy.
He's extremely talented, man. We should get him on.
And if you got one more, did you see Project Kato before?
Project what?
Project Kato.
Kato.
You see that before?
No.
Yeah, Project and Kato. Kato.
Yeah.
Project
let's have a
Kato.
look.
Please note that
Seen that before?
No, let's take a look. This
Yeah,
is...
check it out. They have a YouTube channel, so yeah.
Oh, I have seen
check it
this.
out.
Yeah, I have seen this. It's basically like
That's so cool, man. I have
Warframe
been
meets-
keeping my eye on that. Yeah.
meets Devil May Cry kind of thing.
It has everything I want. It has gunplay, it has swordplay, it has hand-to-hand combat, it has parkour. It has everything. Like it has parry. It's a block. It has a counter attack. It has everything I want in a game.
Right,
So yeah, to sum it up again, a lot of indie games West. Of course, I'm more focused on the East because that's kind of like what I advocate. Again, South Korea, the games that I know of for now. Got DokeV, Crimson Desert, Lies of P, and Gungrave Gore. Plan 8 if you're into MMORPGs. Little Devil Inside is made by South Korean developers as well, by the way. South Korean studio.
Wow.
Little Devil Inside, yeah. Shift Up, of course, Project Eve, also from South Korea. So again, a lot, man. Watch out for South Korea. Yeah, they're gonna bring a lot of games to the table. And
Project Kato is South Korean, is it?
Which one?
Project Kato.
Project Kato, no, it's not South Korea. Not that one.
It looks phenomenal anyway. Thank you for that awesome breakdown.
Yeah.
Go on, Wilhelm.
Can I shout out 2 more titles real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, the first one is a game called El Paso Everywhere, made by a studio called Scaffold. Wait, let me check for a moment the name of the
El Paso what?
El Paso Everywhere. It's a game made by a studio called Strange Scaffold. Exactly. It'll come out this year, and it's basically Max Payne 1. Like
shit! I got instant Max Payne vibes when I saw this.
Yeah. It's basically a spiritual successor to Max Payne 1, with that character finding demons and all that. Yeah.
Wooly.
Yep.
Wooly, one sec. Sorry. So to answer the questions in the chat, Little Devil Inside Studio, yes, is from South Korea. The one that you think that Sony is helping with, the South Korean game that Shuei Yoshida marketed that's going to PS5 and PC, it's multiplayer, I believe. It's called Project Magnum.
Yeah.
Shift Up is Sony's not helping with Shift Up, by the way, guys. It's just Shift Up was pure marketing. Shift Up did that all by themselves, man.
Can I go on?
Sorry, I was just answering some. That's Project Eve, the Devil May Cry, like the Chinese game that show American story. Lost Aside. No, you're talking about Lost Aside because you said Devil May Cry, like.
All right.
That one Sony is helping with that. Chinese. Sorry about that.
Carry on, Wilhelm.
Yeah.
I don't know why you apologize to Wooly because you cut me off, but anyway.
No, I apologize to you. What the hell, bro?
You said Wooly.
Get a room, you two. Right, carry on, Wilhelm.
Basically, El Paso Everywhere. You see, like, it's very Max Payne 1.
Yeah.
Like, with the bullet time mechanic, character carrying, also, like, the Max Payne arsenal, like, grenade launcher I saw, shotgun, double Uzis. Like, it's Max Payne battling against demons of hell.
I never knew about this game, bro.
I also saw that, like, randomly, like, I don't know, you sometimes find magical stuff by just, doing whatever. And another game I wanted to shout out real quick is Postal Brain Damage. Now, that's a boomer shooter spin-off of the Postal series. Published by Running with Scissors, but made by a studio. Let me check their names real quick. Made by 2 studios, Creative Forge Games and Hyperstrange. And it's, like I've said, a boomer shooter spin-off, the Postal series. And it also just looks dope as hell. There's also a demo out for the game, where you can play the first level, I believe.
So right now on Steam.
Yeah, it's right now. It is right
now. By the way, guys,
is it right now?
Yeah.
I just wanna tell you, what it calls, Willem, if you love games like this, right? I got this YouTube channel to recommend to you. His name is Matt Chief.
Math Chief.
Matt Chief is the best source.
MATH.
Matt Chief is the best source for indie games, and a lot of them kind of goes up your alley, to be honest, because they kind of do games how it used to be done, basically. and he has a lot in his channel, and you can just browse it and just discover games you've never seen before. It's crazy.
I'll definitely check him
he's
out.
dope.
Yeah, Math Cheap.
I've been a subscriber for years. He's great. Carry on, Wilhelm.
Now, Postal Brain Damage. Yeah, like I said, Boomer Shooter spin-off the Postal series. Demo of the first level is already out. You can also pre-order it on Steam, and it seems to be quite like bigger than most Boomer Shooter type games, because like the first level alone, you can spend so much time in it. Like it's like the levels themselves are like almost semi-open world, you know.
Wow.
Very good. Shadow Wars.
The stream is disconnected.
By the way, Wooly, you did not talk about that game, the censored one. Martha is dead.
Yeah. We'll touch on that. We'll touch on that. We are running out of time a little bit. So we'll
I'll do real quick. I'll do real quick. And another thing that I'm stoked about this game is Corey Cruz will return as the Postal Dude, who voiced the Postal Dude in Postal 3. He replaced Rick Hunter, who was the original Postal Dude, who couldn't have been hired for Postal 3 due to him dealing with personal stuff. And I always thought that he was a decent fit. It's just a shame that he was used for Postal 3, and now he's like getting to voice the dude again, but in a hopefully much better game. Also, Wooly, we have to stream Postal 3 together. I'm sure that this will be
is it co-op?
Comedic gold. No, it's not it's not co-op, but like I thought to myself, like, I don't know, like I'm doing some kind of like Discord stream thing, and then like we both just commentate on how shit and broken the game is.
That sounds amazing. Let's do it.
Also, quick fun fact: if you go on the Running with Scissors website and go to their games and Postal 3, when you click on Postal 3, you actually get a link to Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up."
I love it.
Because they hate Postal 3 themselves.
I love it.
Postal 3, huh?
That's hilarious. Yeah. So guys, what the last subject just to touch on. Bit of a shit show for Xbox this year. I have no idea how DZ feels about the. I mean, Crossfire X. It looks decent. You know, the second bit that you actually buy of the campaign doesn't look the worst. It doesn't look great, but I mean, it looks kind of competent, but everything else is just bare bones. Like they didn't give a crap. And I'm just wondering, like, with it, what the hell's going on? How was this cleared? How was this allowed? I don't know if DZ, if you have anything to say about that. Crossfire is made by the same people, right? Who have just released that huge MMO on Steam. I'm trying to remember the name of the. I've literally
Smilegate.
So Smilegate, yeah, Smilegate. That's the one.
Aren't they owned by Tencent?
Yeah, Smilegate are the publisher. It's weird. So how Smilegate basically cooperated with Xbox, got the console exclusivity. Smilegate, I think are the publishers. Are the publishers?
No. Smilegate also got developers, and they're also publishers. Yes.
So did they help? Did they help?
Yeah, they did. So basically, what I'm seeing is the game is developed by. So we got Remedy, Smilegate, and Xbox Game Studios. I don't know what that means, but apparently it seems like they helped.
So hold on, I could satellite. So what it is Remedy works on the single player. Smilegate works and develops the Smilegate is working and developing the multiplayer side.
Oh shit! Smilegate really did not.
Microsoft is the publisher for the game for both halves of the game. So yeah.
That's shocking. What Smilegate? I mean, Saltiest Gaming. Shout out to him. He summed it up really well.
Sorry.
No, it's all
this is really a surprise because so Crossfire, like I said in Salty's podcast, it's an extremely successful and popular game in Asia, right? And Crossfire, again, very, 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 very popular multiplayer. I played it myself. Got about more than 670 million users registered for Crossfire. I'm talking about the one on PC to date, right? And they still have 8 million players active, even though the game is from 2007. So again, Crossfire is successful as hell. So now, this is the biggest surprise. Smilegate is actually from South Korea as well. Like I told you before a while ago, right? A lot of my childhood games on PC are from South Korea.
Well, it seems to me, Akira, and Salty summed it up really well with this tweet. Smilegate, after they finessed Xbox out of their money for Crossfire X as multiplayer, when they have a banger game with Lost Ark. Lost Ark is blowing up, like 800,000 players active right now on Steam or something like that. It's huge reviews praising the shit out of it. It's an amazing game. I've just bought it. I've just got the Founders Pack for it because I was told to by Captain Thug Nasty. Shout out to him. So Lost Ark's an amazing game, but it seems to me like Smilegate took the money.
No, this is crazy because Lost Ark is also from Smilegate, but apparently that one's kicking. Right?
Yeah, it's amazing. But when you look at the multiplayer of Crossfire X, it's terrible. Apparently, it's so bad. Like, watching... You should see all the reviews. Like, it's just non-stop.
I saw some clips, and that's the problem, right? I saw some clips, and I felt really bad about it. Because, like I said, I played Crossfire on PC back then, right? And 2007, the game played better than what I saw there. And I'm just wondering, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Because again, if you're going to look at Crossfire footage, the way the older ones, right, the original Crossfire, you're going to see it's a fun-looking game with lots of cool stuff you can do, and doesn't have a lot of game-breaking bugs. It's actually very, very flawless for the amount of players that they got. Like I said, they get like over 10 million players every day on Crossfire back then, and until today they still reach 8 million players on the original Crossfire multiplayer. So the game is functioning well again since 2007, and I'm just shocked that I thought Crossfire X is gonna hit it because I played the game on PC again on internet shops with friends, because it's kind of like how you get together, right? And I'm just speechless. Like, I don't know what the hell happened, because Crossfire is great. You can, if you have right now, right, you can check the old Crossfire. Just search anyone who's playing Crossfire, the old one, and you're gonna see, man, like, it plays better there than what I saw. The clips I saw from
Crossfire is basically CS:GO. It's a Counter-Strike Source. Sorry, it's basically Counter-Strike Source, but the Korean version. It's almost identical to Counter-Strike Source.
No, it is. They also acknowledge it, that it's a Counter-Strike inspired game. I mean, they never denied that, really. They kind of owned that, and they just added their own spin to it.
So what's left for Xbox now that Crossfire hasn't hit?
Well, technically Redfall is not delayed, technically, right now. Summer 2020, no, summer?
Yeah,
Spring.
summer. It's said for summer. So
summer 2022.
It's looking dodgy, guys. Like, I don't know if this is the worst year Xbox has had in quite a while. But I mean, I'm seeing a lot of Team Green having a kind of a bit of a meltdown, really, because there's not really much happening. I mean, this whole purchase of Activision, it hasn't amounted to anything for players, So with that being said, there's Crossfire X that launches an absolute shit show of a game. I don't know how quality control could pass this up. And we've just learnt tonight about freaking Halo Infinite. What happened with that? It's like, is there a quality control problem? Is that what this is? It is Microsoft.
In comparison to Sony, yeah. Like, you look at the other two at what they're doing, and Nintendo is continuing to announce more titles and flesh out their 2022. So like, both Sony and Nintendo are they're like many people said, they're far more prepared for the next generation than Microsoft is, and Nintendo's their quality control and steady stream of new titles are just a steady stream of titles are kicking. Like, they've got a brand new Pokemon that flips that while it doesn't look amazing, it definitely packs a punch with the gameplay side of things. That just released. They've got Kirby coming up next, which is great. They just announced, Bayonetta 3 is coming out this year as well. And they've
Nintendo
got
on fire. That recent Nintendo Direct was great.
Yeah. So they've got plenty of stuff coming on. So like both Sony and Nintendo are on strong legs right now. They're performing. Both of them have a steady stream of first party and third party content, and then of course strong indies to keep them afloat. So like I don't think they have to worry too much. They've made preparations for each year, and they've got the quality. We're still waiting for Microsoft to deliver with the cadence of games that are gonna hit hard. So like, we're still waiting.
I don't know how it could get to this, where now there's a drought for Xbox yet again. Why can't they just freaking buy titles to? But then that's not ideal. Because you want to fund titles to be made, not buy them. But there's just nothing. What is there after Crossfire? I don't know. Can anyone think of a game coming out for Xbox in the next 2 months to be excited for?
Well, right now, just a maybe Redfall.
Well, but that's
maybe.
Summer. That's summer. So I'm saying like February, March, April.
Game Pass games, whatever games those are. No, it's true.
Yeah.
This is a thing, right? This is why sometimes Game Pass does give me Netflix vibes, right? Because I'm gonna tell you something, right? Anybody who owns Netflix knows that the hits that they normally like comes seldom. And in between those, you need to fucking browse on what you think looks interesting on Netflix. For example, you don't know what the show is, you're gonna browse, you see, this looks interesting, maybe I'm gonna watch it. And then it's either, you're either gonna 50-50, it's trash or it's good, right? Until you wait for the next hit to arrive, which, is kind of like on the new and popular thing on Netflix. So I think that's kind of like the Game Pass situation right now, because they're going to browse Game Pass to see what looks interesting to them, because if you don't got multi-plat and exclusives right now to play it, and you won't have no choice but to basically browse that. I mean, you pay that thing monthly, and they will take a look at what's interesting. That's why sometimes they're so thankful. I would never discovered or played this if it wasn't for Game Pass. But that's the thing. That's kind of like the idea is you need to browse until you find something interesting, and because of that, they can they can how do I say it? They can delay their hits because technically you got something to play. Technically, you got something to play. Might not be AAA, might not be AA. You know, can be indie. Yeah, it can be AA. Can be an old game that you haven't played before. For example, you know, old games that you haven't played before but are AAA games. Bethesda games, for example. Yeah, Bethesda games, for example, like, you know, when Bethesda got acquired, they got a really cool, you know, Prey, Evil Within, you know, all these cool games which they should have really played even then because they're great games. They were multiplat, but that's like the idea, right? Even in Netflix, you got old movies, old classics, old TV shows that you would like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, for example, or you got a movie there like from
Wall Street.
2006, you know. That,
Oh,
yeah, so
Charlie
basically that's kind of like the idea. You got the old stuff, the old good stuff, and you got this, you know, these new. That's why they're called filler because they kind of satisfy you until you end up to the hits. Like in an anime where you need to go with filler so that they can travel towards the climax, which is where you are basically going towards, or where what you're waiting for, basically. That's kind of like how I see it, which is why there's not a lot of problems on their end if they don't have, you know, this hit or AAA exclusive or blockbuster game, because they have games to play anyway in quotation, right? But it's kind of like the go ahead, sorry.
So Akira confirmed that Xbox is preparing for the next generation.
Yeah. I mean, look at this game, right? This is an untitled FPS from Hong Kong Massacre developers. And Jay Gamer, shout out to him in the chat. Jay Gamer UK sent me the link to this. Thank you, brother. I've seen this before. A great shout, though. This is everything Crossfire X could have been. And this is an indie developer. This is like a Hong Kong Massacre developers have done this, right?
Kind of reminds me of Fear.
Yeah, it's got fear elements with a bit of black thrown in, you know, destructible environments. It's incredible, right?
Black. I miss that game, bro.
Yeah,
I miss that game.
But think about this, right? Crossfire X is the first true Xbox console exclusive. Yeah, it's cross-gen, but it's exclusive. The campaign is exclusive to the console, and this could have been something that was. This could have been something to really kind of, be synonymous with the console to help sell it, and I just feel like the higher ups at Microsoft just don't give two shits, and that they'd rather just release something half baked to try and meet a target, meet a deadline. Than we've seen that tonight with Halo Infinite. I just think Halo Infinite, what Leviathan shared with us tonight, this doesn't even need saying, this whole deal with Crossfire X. This is just one more piece to the evidence that's right in front of us, that there is clearly a quality control issue at Microsoft, and it's because of priorities. It's what they prioritize, and it's not the reputation of Xbox. It's not Xbox being synonymous with quality games. It's literally a subscription service trying to push it out as much as possible, and how you can play the first campaign mission on Game Pass in the hopes that you'll buy the rest. I don't know how.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the first campaign mission of Crossfire is on Game Pass.
So not all of it.
No, it's divided into different segments.
You know about Crossfire X campaign, right? If people say that it is really that if it's really that bad, then I don't really believe Remedy worked on that. To be honest, Remedy's DNA is being unique. Like, you know, if you look at all their games and the way they do storytelling, which is not for everyone, and understandable too, they always do different. They're different. You know, from Alan Wake to Quantum Break to Max Payne to Control, they're different. They just do it differently. So I really refuse to believe Remedy worked on the campaign for Crossfire X. I really refuse to believe it.
There's small hints of like competent quality there. There's elements of it, like there's a pretty cool car chase. Shout out to King Thrash, he showed that there was some pretty good. He bought the full thing, and the segments there like that are pretty great. But it's definitely not their pinnacle of creation. I'm definitely going to say that.
You guys got to take into consideration, though, that's somebody else's IP that they've been commissioned to work on. It's not something that it's not their own thing that they birthed or anything. They're basically taking someone else's IP and asked to do a tack on of the thing. And I think what it was even Microsoft's thing that said that if we're going to do this, we need to spice this up and make this worthwhile. So Remedy, could we commission you guys to do this? And the game has its own set of rules. The game has its own set of story-based things. That was, it has its own narrative team that kind of
abide by.
That they had to abide by, and narrative prompts. So like they literally had to carve
what they've got.
They literally had to carve a statue out of shit.
That's a great way to put it. One question, DZ, before we wrap this up. Wolfaki has been fire tonight. Shout out to him in the chat. It's so great to see you just spitting facts tonight, brother. And also thanks Social for the tag. I've just read Social Destruct's message. Appreciate it, brother. Apparently flight has been 100% confirmed. I've not seen it yet, but we'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, that was the magazine thing.
Oh,
I
right,
saw
yeah. We saw that as well. That here's the article. But I'll just get the full capture up. There we go. Flying mounts confirmed. And a leaked review. It's kind of showing a leaked review has basically confirms that yeah.
Basically, they're allowed to write in the review that flight is
it was leaked apparently. But maybe
No, I mean technically it's going to be still in the review, and they have not shown a trailer where you can do it because basically they're still spoiling the surprise that you can fly.
Well, they don't want to. They want you to discover that yourself.
But they're still allowed to put on reviews though.
Yeah. Well, right. It's a review because reviews are going to talk everything about it unless they bar you from doing it. So it's like, every studio has different requirements that they want things spoiled or want not spoiled or anything. Like the game itself, like it was the same thing for The Last of Us. The Last of Us Part 2. They weren't allowed. Reviewers were not allowed to talk about Joel's death, or they were allowed to talk about Joel's death, but they weren't allowed to talk about certain parts of Abby's campaign. They wanted to keep that secret. So like, there's just things about the things that they're gonna do. So like, they want you to discover it for yourself, but like that maybe that was just something that they said that reviewers could touch upon because everybody's been asking about that. Me personally, I'm more interested in water mounts because they're amphibious. They're now amphibious. What is it?
Snapper jaws.
Amphibious. Yeah, they're now amphibious things. So I'm wondering if sure you could dive underwater and explore, but like, what if you don't want to do that? What if you want to kind of surf the ocean, surf the Pacific Ocean? So like, that'd be a cool way to traverse as well. So like there's plenty.
One question, and I want to ask you this, Sev, DZ, because as a developer, it kind of maybe you could kind of, I guess, look at your own experience and see and kind of gauge what you think. But Wolfaki makes a great point. He says, I really hope that the studios Microsoft acquired don't get a dive in quality. Only way not to, I think, is if Microsoft turns into a third party publisher, because for as long as they have Game Pass quality, but will be an issue. Now, do you think that? I just want to hear it straight up from you. Do you think the day one model of Game Pass, and I know you hate the subject, I know you hate talking about it, so we won't go into a long spiel about it, but do you think that has a direct impact on developers and the quality of the game? Be it, do you think it affects morale of the developers? Do you think it impacts their vision in any way? Impacts the size and scope of the game?
It depends on the kind of studio, and it all comes down to management. It all comes down to management. Competent management. Because these things, when you run and host your own service, you have to be able to provide content at a steady and satiable cadence. And the fastest way to do that is to acquire other studios that already have a backlog, a catalog. Which is the whole point of the Activision and the Bethesda, because Microsoft's 16 studios on their own can't create enough content that fast. So that depends on the kind of content. If you're going to do smaller episodic kind of things, that works itself out. Because episodic, so like a studio like say Supermassive Games or Supermassive, or Telltale, that makes these kind of episodic kind of games. Those kind of games directly support a subscription service based game like Game Pass. Games like
Wooly. Sorry, go ahead, DC.
Yeah, you're fine. Live service games also work quite well, but when you're trying to do these big, far and wide, deep single player games and stuff like that, and you have a deadline and you're trying to get these things out on a subscription model, it becomes sort of an afterthought, because now you need to make sure that your quality's up there, and if you're being rushed for a deadline, it's just not going to work. So Microsoft's entire business model has been shifting from single player to more games smaller games that they could get there, and then the live based games which work. Sony's about to be launching its second live-based game on Xbox Live this year. And they've targeted that because it's a multiplayer affair. And it's just going to be there. So, those things work. But yeah, it's a game by game basis and whatnot. And it all comes down to proper management of those teams across a wide thing. So
yeah, I think management is always key, isn't it?
I just wanna say, right, technically Microsoft, they did acquire a lot of talented as hell studios, right? And I think just like what Leviathan Gamer said, just don't repeat that same mistake, and just manage on a just for management basis, but still let these developers do their magic, and I think they will get amazing games out of it. I mean, we got Tao Gamers, got Arcane, they got what do you call this? They got Ninja Theory, Obsidian. These are talented studios, very, very talented. So yeah, they can manage, but just basically, I really believe for studios as talented as these, just minimal management, and they'll be able to produce amazing things for them if that is their goal. By the way, if they want to make amazing things, that is.
Yeah.
Because, for example, Tango Gameworks worked on Ghostwire Tokyo before the acquisition, right? And I've been interested, like, how this game came to be, because clearly this game is not. It doesn't look like it's targeted at a big audience, because it's kind of specific, right? You got the yokai, you got Tokyo,
got
you have
vibes, but I love it.
Yeah, you got. But basically, this is clearly a game that they want to make, because they already said in an interview, this was supposed to be Evil Within 3, which is a sequel, right? A sequel will definitely do better sales-wise because it already has a fan base, as we all know. But apparently they decided against it, and they wanted to make Ghostwire Tokyo instead. So meaning that these developers decided that they want this, and within the deal with Sony, it seems like they came to an agreement to make this game. And I think it's kind of like it's kind of like the management is just to really come to a proper agreement and execute the plan the way the plan has been. And if there are problems, during the process, maybe that's when you properly interfere and let's just say learn how to give more time, which I think they're learning, because they delayed some games, right? At Xbox Studios. So I think maybe they're learning as well, because it's kind of like important. Games take time, especially good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of like how I think about it. As long as they just manage that, these amazing studios will continue making amazing games for them. That's kind of like the idea.
Facts. I think I hope that's been what you guys were hoping to hear, guys in the chat, or if not, I certainly hope it's been informative. I know that I've learnt a lot tonight. I think it's been absolutely incredible. We will wrap this up now. It's been one last thing before we do. I promised I would showcase this bad boy, which I personally think is one of my most anticipated games coming out. Atomic Heart. So we'll wrap this show up with this awesome trailer of Atomic Heart, and the voice acting is hilarious. It's so bad it's good. It's that kind of voice acting. Go on, Wilhelm.
I just wanted to say Atomic Hearts, man. I haven't heard of that game for such a long time. It looks so dope.
Mate, the new trailer just released 2 days ago, and it's phenomenal. It looks absolutely phenomenal.
Atomic Heart is from Russia.
Oh, mate, it's fantastic. It gives me it's like everything BioShock did, but better in a way. It looks like it's kind of refining the BioShock sim. I can't remember the way what you call it. It's like a life sim shooter kind of.
You mean immersive
sim?
Or?
Yeah, that's the one. Immersive sim. It's got immersive sim elements with interactivity and stuff.
Sorry, but I'm Wooly. No, I'm sorry. I wish you guys to take care. I need to. I need to go, but it was a great show. It was fun.
Stay awesome. Yeah, we're wrapping this up now, Akira. Take care, man. I'll give you.
Take care.
Give you a send off.
Bye, Akira.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
But yeah, Atomic Heart, man. It's looking like a sleeper game of the year. In all honesty. It looks absolutely phenomenal. So I just wanted to share that. That's definitely one of my most anticipated games coming out. And just if you haven't seen this new trailer, do us a favor and watch it with the sound up, because the voice acting is so funny. You'll laugh your ass off. But DZ, thank you so much, brother, for being on tonight. Same to you, Wilhelm. It's been an unconventional hangout. It's been more like a Company of Gamers podcast, to be honest. I wasn't quite sure how tonight would work out, but it's been overall really interesting and pretty awesome. Appreciate you both.
Thanks, man. And well, I'm looking at our pacing, man, and we're just under 3 hours, so this is good.
Yeah, we're getting better. We're improving, bro. We are improving.
Yeah.
100%, and we'll keep it under 3 hours. Let's go. Wilhelm, where can we find you, my guy? You've been awesome tonight, by the way.
Thank you. You can find me under at Maximus Wilhelm on Twitter. I'll be there online, active, more or less, because real life is starting to catch up. Schoolwork's getting more and more, but I'll occasionally drop in to tweet about games I think look cool or to be funny. Oh fuck! What did I want to say? Yeah, 3D Realms. I would appreciate if you'd send me the early review copies of your game after I've spoken so highly of you.
Oh, we're gonna start pecking their heads and maybe even get some on the show. With NXG being on the show a few weeks ago, the sky's the limit. We've had David Jaffe, NXG. I'm in talks with somebody working on Wolverine at Insomniac.
Yo.
So hopefully in a few months' time, it'll be amazing to get her on the show. Really excited about that. We got good things in store, fam. And I'll continue to try and be audacious, as DZ says, and reach out to these awesome individuals who can kind of just give us so much insight and think knowledge that we do need. And that's why I formed this panel. That's why this podcast is here, to teach me, let alone everyone else, because I'm just a random average guy who knows comparatively very little to the talent that is this amazing panel. So I really want to thank all of you guys who are on tonight, who if you listen to this later on, OT, Leviathan, all of you guys, you've just been absolutely amazing. Akira, as always. Who else did we get on? Who else have we had on? I'm trying to...
David.
Folky, absolutely. How could I forget Folky? So yeah, there was David, there was Faulkner, there was Akira, Leviathan, OT, UDZ, and Wilhelm. So thank you to all of you. And the chat tonight has been lit. You scared off that Xbox dude. poor guy. He's no longer there. But shout out to all of you in the chat for an awesome show. Wufaki, J Gamer, Rob Gomez, appreciate you. Toolman, who are you? HD Gamer, Twisted Sin, just all of you. Ice Queen Gaming, appreciate you. Shaky Shako, he's gone to bed, he'll be catching up tomorrow. Social Destruct, D-Wolf, 47, all of you guys. I wish I could go on and on and on to shout out every one of you, but please know I do notice all of you. You're appreciated, we love you. Stay awesome. We'll catch you all next time. Don't be a donut, use your noggin.